Check, mic check. The time is now 6:30 and we are live. Welcome to the She Shows Up VP Vice Presidential Debate Watch Party. I am DJ NVMD. We're going to have a good time tonight. Hope you had a wonderful Wednesday. Come on in. We are live. Yes, welcome. It's a party. Now we fly through the stars, but this night will last forever. Hey, come on in. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the She Shows Up VP Debate Watch Party. What I would do when I heard your song, fill my heart with this, gave me freedom. You knew I could not resist. I needed someone. And now we're flying through the stars. I hope this night lasts forever. Ain't nobody loves me better. Come on in. I see you logging in. Welcome. So glad to see you. Where are my independent women at? Welcome to the She Shows Up VP Debate Watch Party.
Cameron D and Destiny, Charlie's Angels, come on. Question, tell me what you think about me. I buy my own diamonds and I buy my own rings. Only ring your celly when I'm feeling lonely. When it's all over, please get up and leave. Question, tell me how you feel about this. Try to control me, boy, you get dismissed. Pay my own condo and I pay my own bills. Always 50-50 in relationships. The shoes on my feet, I bought it. The clothes I'm wearing, I bought it. The rock I'm rocking, I bought it. 'Cause I depend on me if I want it. The watch I'm wearing, I bought it. The house I live in, I bought it. The car I'm driving, I bought it. I depend on me, I depend on me. All the women, throw your hands up, baby. All of my ass, make your money. Work. You see me happy work. You see me do me dirt.
What's up? Mic check. Welcome. Come on in. Welcome to the She Shows Up Vice Presidential Debate. Excuse me, it's the watch party. I go by the name of DJ NVMD. We're gonna have some fun tonight. Come on in.
I believed all of your dreams are duration. You took my heart, all my keys, and my patience. You took my heart, all my sleep, a decoration. You mistaken my love, I brought for you for foundation. All that I wanted from you was to give me something that I never had, something that you never seen, something that you never been. But I wake up and hell nothing's wrong. Just get ready for work. You see me happy work. You see me do me dirt. Tell me about that work. Na. When you walk out, na. Before the table turn. Beg you something, please. Baby, don't you leave. Don't leave me stuck here in the streets. If I get another chance to, I would never neglect you. I mean, who am I to hold your best against you? I just hope that it gets to you. I hope that you see this through. I hope that you see this through.
Ask me how I'm
what
doing,
can
I'm
I say?
blessed. Yes, living every moment, no regrets. Smile up on my face, I'm like, oh, yes, I'm blessed. Yes, waking up, thanking God. Every day is feeling just like Sunday. Wifey fly by my side. Green light, everything is going my way. Riding clean, living dreams. Just left the barber and I'm feeling like Midas. Heard him say, give him praise. What's in the water got you acting like this?
Welcome. Come on in. Welcome to the She Shows Up Vice Presidential Debate Watch Party. I go by the name of DJ NVMD. It's Wednesday. We're gonna have some fun tonight. Come on in.
rest. Smile up on my face, I'm like, oh, yes, I'm blessed. Yes, I'm blessed. Yes. Ask me how I'm doing, I'm blessed. Yes. Living every moment, no regrets. Smile up on my face, I'm like, oh, yes, I'm blessed. Yes, I'm blessed.
What's your name? My name is Carrie. I'm so very fly. Oh my, it's a little bit scary. Always wanna marry, looking at my dairy. And you can stare, but if you touch it, I'm a berry. Pretty as a picture, sweeter than a swisher. Mad cause I'm cuter than
I see you logging in. I see y'all logging in. Come on in. Welcome to the party. Welcome to the party.
Happy to repeat it. My name is Carrie. I'm so very fly. Oh my, it's a little bit scary. Always wanna marry, looking at my dairy. And you can stare, but if you touch it, I'm a berry.
Cause I'm pretty as a picture.
Sweeter than a swisher. Mad cause I'm cuter than the girl that's with ya. I can talk about it cause I know that I'm pretty. And if you know it too, then ladies sing it with me. All eyes on me when I walk in. No question that this girl's a 10. Don't hate me cause I'm beautiful. Don't hate me cause I'm beautiful. I walk my talk the way I dress. It's not my fault, so please don't trip. Don't hate me cause I'm beautiful. Don't hate me cause I'm beautiful. Hey, now do the pretty girl rock, rock, rock. Do the pretty girl rock, rock, rock. Do the pretty girl rock, rock, rock. Sleeping all day, chiefin' rolling 50 games, about to lose it. The body's on fire. Ooh, love me long till you get tired. Ooh, baby, you got what you's a real one, I'm inspired. Break me off and get you, yeah, when the lights is out. I'm summertime, put that game on pause and do it how I like it, baby, nice and slow. Ooh, break me off and get you, yeah, when the lights is out. I'm summertime, put that game on pause and do it how I like it, baby, nice and slow.
Trust. Pick up the phone, show me it was real.
Welcome to the She Shows Up Vice Presidential Debate Watch Party. Come on in.
I don't want to put no pressure on you. I just want to put a blessing on
I go by the name of DJ NVMD.
Undressing session. I'm not really sure if you've been checking. I'm progressing. I just heard my songs is popping out in Macedonia and even Serbia. I don't mean to burden you. If you got a man since then, I understand. Last thing I want to do is get you jammed, especially if he's the fan. He probably never want to hear my shit again. And I need every single sound scan. But if you single and you down, then I'm in your town feeling for another round. I was counting down the days, been more patient than a brown sand. Where that chip at? Probably on your shoulder, cause I forgot to hit back. Left you on red. Apologies I said, but often never meant. Well, fuck that, I repent for message never sent now.
Hello, stranger. It's been a minute since we last kicked it. And by the way, just got in town, and I won't let cumulus clouds all in the sky ruin my vibe. Usually I don't do this often, but since recruiting isn't an option due to unusual rain and thunder, baby, I wonder.
You a bad girl and your friends bad too. Oh, you got the swag, saucy drippin' swag goo. You a bad girl and your friends bad too. Oh, you got the swag, saucy drippin' swag goo. Oh.
Welcome. Come on in. I go by the name of DJ NVMD. Welcome to the She Shows Up VP Presidential Debate Watch Party. So glad you could join us tonight. Hope you're having a good week so far. I hope you're smiling. And if you're in public, I hope you have your mask on.
Give it all away. Just don't tell nobody tomorrow.
We're getting ready for this thing. If you have not already, invite somebody. Invite somebody to come party with you.
Because I can tell the morning light. We like to party. Hey, touch and explain.
That's right. Come on in. It is the pregame for the vice presidential debate. Shout out to She Shows Up. Shout out to Citizen She. Shout out to you for being here. And shout out to Beyonce for making this great song.
I'm finessing like a trap bounce, yeah. Cause every day above ground is a blessing. I done leveled up now, view panoramic. None of my fears can't go where I'm headed. Had to cut them loose.
Come on, dance with me.
I'm about to blood on the center. The rain and thunder gon' fall, gon' move, no, sinner. You condemn my life. Cause when we walk up in the club, I need them sirens gon' the tears we cry, let us know that we alive, yeah. It give me goosebumps every time I throw up my diamond. Together we big time, baby.
Bring up our host for this evening. Once again, thank you for joining us. Welcome. Shout out to Citizen She. I promise this my move forever. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for mostly ladies, we're getting ready to do this thing.
Y'all, it's a party.
Yeah.
DJ NVMD, it is a Black girl party. Welcome. I always say good evening. Welcome to She Shows Up. This is probably the dopest She Shows Up I have ever done, probably ever will do. I got all the Black girls with me. This is going to be an incredible night, an incredible space. Thank you so much to everyone that is joining us. Thank you for all the people. Y'all, we got a green room. We fancy. We got a green room. We got people in the back jamming. We have been, I'm not going to lie, I already started my drinking. I know we're waiting on Justini and her incredible cocktail, but it's Wednesday. I ain't got nothing to do. I'm going to sit here and watch this, and I already got my drink on. Mike, let me tell you, you have been jamming for the last, hour and a half, and you know he say, I love my DJ? I love my DJ. I said, I'm texting my people, and I was like, I think we got an official Citizen She DJ now. This is going to be an incredible night. Y'all, we have incredible people that are going to be joining us tonight. We're going to still hear these beats from DJ NVMD. Then we're going to be joined by Justini from Justini Cocktails. She's going to be mixing us with drink. I'm showing y'all, I got my bar ready. All my ingredients right here. I got my tequila. I got my little bourbon. We're gonna make us some beautiful drink for Justini. Thank you. And then we're gonna have Mimi at the bar. Y'all see is in the house. And we're gonna do a little cocktails and conversation, warming us up for what we're about to see. We're also gonna be joined by my people from Citizen She. Talking about our Squad Up campaign. We still want y'all Black women to, squad up, get your people together, show up at the polls, turn this stuff around. Everyone's waiting on the Black women to show up. Y'all know that. Everybody's sitting there acting like they don't care, but the reality is they just waiting on the Black women to lead. And we gonna do it. but we're going to do it our way, and we're going to do it our style. And at the end of it, we're going to demand that people look at us and do policies and procedures so that we can be jamming all the time. Black women deserve to feel good like this all the time, and that's what we're going to do. And so I think we are, I also want to say, like, thank you. We've got some sponsors here. Kelly from Style and Taste, she called me and she was like, Nia, let's do a debate watch party. I said, you know what, Kelly? Let's do a debate watch party. And we're like, but let's make it like a black girl debate watch party. What you gonna do? And I'm like, we're gonna be drinking. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be talking noise. You know what I'm saying? So we got incredible people that are gonna be talking noise with us. I'll also say, like, these black women that are coming on here, when I said I had dreams about working with these black women, when y'all meet Justini, I had never even met Justini. I don't think we've been in the same room before, but I knew who she was. And I was like, I'm going to work with you at some point. We said that a week ago. And now she's coming right on here and bringing us these libations and this joy. So we're going to kick it back to the DJ. Never mind. You know what I'm saying? If y'all see it go, Facebook keeps us tight. So, we only able to do 15, 20 seconds of a song. So, you know what I'm saying? When you hear your joint, rock out hard because you only going to get about 15, 20 seconds of that.
That's right. Get your 15-second dance moving.
15-second dance on. We're going to rock this out. We're going to come back with Justini. We're going to sit and listen to these jams from DJ Never Mind. I'm going to send it back to the DJ so I can rock back here.
All right. You going to learn today. I'm just kidding. Welcome.
Why don't you say so? Didn't even notice. No punches got to roll. You got to keep it focused. You wanna say so? It's been a long time since you feeling alive. You ain't coming out yourself. You ain't really been yourself. Tell me what must I do? Tell my life. 'Cause luckily I'm quick at breathing. I wouldn't fuck a minute.
My 15-second Tootsie sliders at? How y'all doing out there? Shout out to Drake.
Black leather glove, no sequins. Buckles on the jacket, it's elite. Nike crossbody got a piece in it. Gotta dance, but it's really on some street. I'ma show you how to get it. It go right foot up, left foot slide, left foot up, right foot slide. Basically, I'm saying either way, we bout to slide. Hey, can't let this one slide. Hey. Don't you wanna dance with me? No, I could dance like Michael Jackson. I could get you the passion. It's a thriller in the trap. Where we from? Baby, don't you wanna dance with me? No, I could dance like Michael Jackson. I could get you satisfaction. And you know we out here every day with it. I'ma show you how to get it. It go right foot up, left foot slide, left foot up, right foot slide. Basically, I'm saying either way, we bout to slide. Hey, we can't let this one slide. Hey.
Oh, I know what they won't do. Uh-oh. Yeah. Oh, it's about to be a problem. That's right. It's your boy Nitty. Yeah. I'm with my big bro A-Ball, okay? And MJG. Wow. It's that new shit, nigga. Yeah. Let's go. Hey.
What it sound like? Sound like money, like money. What it look like? Look like money, like money. What it feel like? Feel like money, like money. What the real life? Making that money.
Now tell the DJ bring it back.
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 1, 2, 3,
My baby don't mess around because she loves me so, and this I know for sure. But does she really wanna, but can't stand to see me walk out the door? Don't try to fight the feeling, just the thought alone is killing me right now. Thank God for mom and dad for sticking together, cause we don't know how. together. Oh, we get together. But separate's always better when there's feelings involved. If what they say is right, then what makes why not happy here?
Welcome. Come on in. I'm not used to only playing 15 seconds. I want to dance with y'all, man. This is no fun. But come on in. How y'all doing?
Yes.
I go by the name of DJ. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yes.
Touchdown in London.
Hope you're enjoying the music.
Bet they give me a
Hope you have a great day.
in my hand right now. Got a promoter, we need more seats. We just sold out all the floor seats.
Take me on a trip, I'd like to go someday. Take me to New York, I'd love to see LA. I really want to come pick it with you. You'll be my American boy. He said, hey sister, it's really nice to meet ya. I just met this 5'7" guy who's just my type. Like the way he I like what's underneath it. And no, I ain't been to MIA. I heard the Cali never rains, to New York's wide away. First let's see the West End, I'll show you to my bedroom. American boy. Take me on a trip, I'd like to go someday. Take me to New York, I'd love to see.
I know. I'm like, I keep looking down because I'm rocking to the music, and we only got our 15 seconds. DJ Nevermind, I appreciate you like keeping the beat going and keeping the atmosphere going. We got 1 hour, 8 minutes, 32, 31, 30 seconds until this debate starts. We got our people in the background getting ready to make their commentary. We're gonna have a little Black Girl Twitter fest going on during the debate. We got Justini Cocktails coming up. If you don't have your ingredients ready, I don't know what's wrong with you. We've been posting about it all day. We've been telling y'all need to get y'all whiskey on. Get y'all stuff together.
When the word is on my shoulder,
I got 3 bottles. 3 bottles of champagne. We're gonna make it happen. About to have this drink party, some cocktails, some conversation, just like we at the bar, right? We haven't been able to do this in a while. Found a way to do this virtually. So we just keep the party going. Thank you, DJ NVMD. We're going to be up with Justini Cocktails in about 15 minutes. No, 10 minutes, sorry. 10 minutes. So y'all get ready to get these drinks for this debate watch party that we have right here. DJ Nevermind, thank you so much for the hits. I appreciate it. Keep it going.
Yeah. Woo! Hey, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. On the fence. Clock strikes upon the hour and the sun.
I'm so sorry. Like right when it gets good, like these 15 seconds on YouTube is killing me. It's killing me now, and I know it's killing you because the DJ be rocking. But we gotta keep it with us because we ain't gonna let Facebook kick us out. They ain't gonna, they like they don't play the Sandman music and kick us out of the Facebook before the debate happens because they know what's about to happen when these black girls and these black women get to rocking, right? And so you are on it, and I appreciate it. I'm loving everybody joining the party. Loving everyone commenting the party. Y'all wait till these commenters come on. Y'all, these black women, like they fill me with joy. So I can't wait for y'all to have that. We got a couple more minutes before Justini, and then we're gonna have cocktails and conversation in a little bit.
let me get the hang of it, because if I get the hang of it, it's really a party.
There you go, yes. With that drinking early.
You know I love music. And every time I hear something hot, it makes me want to move. It makes me want to have fun. But it's something about this joint right here. This joint right here, it makes me want to...
Let it go. Can't let this thing called love get away from you. Feel free right now, go do what you wanna do. Can't let nobody take it away from you, from me, from we. No time for moping around. Are you kidding? No time for negative vibes, 'cause I'm here.
It's a party. It's a party. Come on in. Welcome to the VP pregame party. Shout out to Citizen She.
Want to do a little acting. Now that's for anyone asking. Give me one pass. Them drip, drip, drop. There it goes. And
Justini, get y'all stuff together, because
well, click at the ticket. Let's see your seat.
have a drink.
Rattling like 2 minutes in the back seat. Wrestling. Keep your heart vibrate the tag. Make it sound like aluminum cans in the bag. But I know y'all want it.
Girls, we run this mother. We run this mother. Yeah. Girls, we run this mother. Yeah. Girls, we run this mother. Who run the world? Girls. 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 Who run this mother? Who run this mother? Who run this mother? Who run this mother?
You know, you make me feel so good inside. I always wanted a girl just like you. You're such a PYT, pretty young thing.
Where did you come from, baby? And ooh, won't you take me there? Right away, won't you, baby? Tender roadie, you got to be. Spark my need, just sugar fly with me. Don't you know now is the perfect time? We can make it right near the city lights. In the night, is the love and pain. Let me take it to the max. Cause it's really sick. It's time to rock. That's what it is. Tiffany is her name. Love's the game. But the only way to play is with this promise ring. Sometimes a girl needs to know that she's appreciated.
Come on in. Welcome to the party.
My babies are grooving in the background. My babies are grooving like, oh, this is the generation. I love it.
Pulled out a small full of box, pink ribbon tie.
Girl party.
He opened it and then he replied.
Never mind. Thank you so much. Okay, we are about to get on with the drinking portion of the show. I will say, today, and these drinks we're about to make, the party is on. Okay, so we have been rocking with DJ Nevermind. She gonna come right back up here. You know what I'm saying? After we make these cocktails, I want to bring up I'm not gonna even say new friend, because I have been fanning this woman for a minute. I do fan my friends. That's the thing, is when you have dope friends, you get to fan your friends. Justini from Justini Cocktails, she just be doing some dope stuff, y'all. And she be guiding us around, like making drinks and curing. Like, she's a mixologist, right? Like, not just a bartender, mixologist. Justini, come up here. Come up here. Let's make these drinks with these women. Oh, Justini, I can't hear you real quick. I don't know if it's... I want to make sure we hear, because I don't know what I'm doing. All I know is I got some ingredients. Uh-oh. Not yet. Not quite sure. I know I did everything right, Justini. I got my whiskey. Okay, I'm lying. I got my whiskey. So I am all set. I think, there we go. I heard something. Y'all know we live in my good. I hear you. I don't see you, my love. And y'all know we live in now. I hear you. I don't see your beautiful face.
You hear me? Oh shoot.
Yes.
Okay, I'm coming. Hold on.
We gonna get it. We gonna get it. Because you know we gotta see your face.
We good?
Done.
Are we good? Okay.
Done. Right. Like your magic. Make it happen.
Let's go.
Okay.
Okay. Y'all ready?
Tell me what I gotta
do. Okay, the first thing we're gonna do is the Smash the Vote cocktail. And we're gonna use Make It
Smash the Vote cocktail. Wait, first, what do I need?
Huh?
I need my whiskey?
Yeah, you need your whiskey.
I need this.
The Maker's Mark whiskey.
All right. I'm gonna tell you, it's hard for me to open that fancy Maker's Mark bottle. I got some. Can I use this?
Yeah, you're gonna do 2 ounces. 2 ounces.
Okay. I'm measuring 2 ounces.
Just throw it in there. Just throw it in there.
I got 2 ounces in my glass.
You're gonna need 3 lemon wedges. Squeeze it in.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I love my people because my babies got me some lemon wedges. What does lemon do to the whiskey?
Huh?
What does the lemon do to the whiskey?
It sweetens it up. Softens it.
That's what I like my kids' whiskey.
Just a tad bit. Tad bit sweet. Now you're gonna do a half ounce of simple syrup.
Got it. I got my syrup.
All into the cocktail glass.
Oh man, see, I didn't prepare as much as I thought.
It's fine. We'll do some private lessons. Don't worry. Okay. You know, take your stirring spoon or a straw, whatever you have.
It's pretty. Oh, I got a straw there. Okay.
Or a straw, whatever you have.
I'm gonna stir it. And then what?
Garnish it with some mint.
Some mint? Okay, wait. I got my mint. I'm gonna throw it in there. I got my
TheStyleAndTaste glass.
Oh, I do. Ooh, let me mix it in there. Wait. Ooh, Justini, wait.
Yes.
Cheers. Okay, wait. But what are we toasting to?
What we toasting to?
Yes. We gotta have a toast.
What would you think we being toast? We toasting to being dope. Doing what we want to do. Saying what we want to say. Drinking what we want to drink. On whatever day we want to drink it. Okay?
Justini, we are going to step out here with the world. We're black women. We are always winning. You know, we are having these legendary cocktails, but I want to bring up somebody else. I want to bring up Cindy. Because we are going to do some conversation while we make these cocktails.
Yes.
Cindy, you have to come on up here. There we go. C.
Hey, C.
Hey, bro.
What you talking about?
Oh, wait. I'm taking off. There she goes. I'm making sure.
I was muted. Hi. Y'all energy is great.
Come on, we'll try it.
Y'all energy is great. Like, I'm loving it.
You know,
we having bar talk. Bar talk.
Bar talk. That's what we doing. Bar talk.
You know, my favorite line is meet me at the bar. So
Yes,
I'm
bar
here for it. I am here for it. And this is prime example that the bar isn't always a physical location. It's wherever you make it.
Yes.
We are at the bar now.
For sure.
We are at the bar now. I'm going to do a little quick background. Me at the bar, I am a co-founder. My partner, Justini Cocktail, was unable to be with us today, but I know she's live streaming. So hey, CC.
Hey, C.
A little background about our brand. It's a social activity that we created to maintain bonds and or create new ones. So Meet Me at the Bar allows family, friends, companions, etc. to unite regardless of location. Just like now, we're friends and you're united at the bar virtually. So our method of choice is to accomplish this over a cocktail. A little fun fact is that CC and I became friends over a cocktail. So our brand is really personal to us. It's our baby. It's our story. So we are living proof that you can maintain a bond or create one over a cocktail. So I wanted to introduce one of our newest products, which is the Meet Me at the Bar Cocktails and Conversations deck. This card deck is like your normal card deck. It's 52 cards. You'll find in here 25 recipes. And they're all color coordinated by spirit. So you'll find like brown, gin, tequila, and vodka. They're all color coordinated. And then you'll have 25 conversation starters. So I am going to randomly pick one, and we're going to chat. Okay. So this is a good one. Given. So
I'm gonna interrupt you real quick, C, because I'm going to slow down a little bit. So Facebook didn't like all of our music, so I'm gonna be working some things that, you know, I told him we got to keep it at 50 seconds, and so I got to figure out how to fix us on Facebook. So give me a minute. I'm gonna be doing that for a second.
Okay, and are we waiting until you come back, or we're still rolling?
Okay. Y'all go.
Okay. So one of the conversation starters is, given the power to rewind, what would you do differently in your life? I don't know, Justini, if you want to chime in. You're muted.
Hold on.
Why are they trying to shut down our party?
They don't want us to be great. No, you're I can hear you now.
Okay, so say the question again for me, please.
Given the power to rewind, what would you do differently in your life?
Given the power to rewind, I really kind of like my life. I ain't gonna lie. You know, I think, you know, I feel like everything I've done is like makes sense. I'm learning that it's making sense. You know what I'm saying? So I think maybe, if I had the power to rewind, I would have learned my power a little earlier in life.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Everybody that's tuning in, engage in the comments, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think.
What about you, C?
I think if I could rewind time, I would open up more to my friends and family. I have a habit of bottling a lot of things inside it, and I just hold everything in.
Oh, girl, talk to me. I'm an open book. I can't hold nothing.
It's a habit. So I definitely, if I could go back, I would open up more, you know, for advice, suggestions, for anything that I could be given. That's for sure what I'll do if I could rewind time.
Okay. Let's do another one.
All right. Let's see what I get. Okay. What is preventing you from becoming the person you want to be?
I'm on God's time, so I think I'm doing my part. So I guess he has me. He's doing it in doses, you know. So he's giving me what I need with the time, you know. And so when I'm finished with this, I think he'll give me a little more. When I'm finished with that, he'll give me a little more. So I'm on his time. So I think he's preventing me from being he got me on his timeline, which I'm cool with, you know. So.
And I totally agree with that. I agree with that. When it's your time, it's your time.
Yeah. So I'm chilling. I'm just doing my part so he can see it, and then it's gonna come. You hear me go? It's gonna come.
It's gonna come because he's listening right now, right?
He's listening. So it's I'm on your time. I'm obeying. Okay. So, what about you?
I'm a perfectionist. Like I want everything to be perfect, and I've realized that there's no such thing as perfect.
Yeah.
I worry about the perfect decision in everything. What to wear, how to look, what to say, how to respond to a professional email. So I think that's what's preventing me, because I have a fear of presenting something that's not perfect. And I have to really realize that everything isn't perfect. So
yeah. No. Makes sense. Just gotta do it. Are you ready for the next cocktail? I'm gonna go to the next cocktail.
Let's do it.
Okay. So, done with this one. Smash the vote. And we're gonna move on to this is a champagne margarita. So we're gonna use that tequila. Tonight we're gonna use Jose Cuervo.
They be trying to shut up. You having a good time.
You ready?
Okay, I'm ready. Okay, wait.
You ready? Yes.
This is the margarita, right?
Okay.
Okay.
So we're gonna do what I did, 1.5 ounces of Jose Cuervo. That's what I'm using right now.
So what I hear is the entire
pour it in with some ice. Okay. We're gonna do 1 ounce of lemon juice.
All right,
and we're gonna do 1 ounce, 1/2 ounce of orange liqueur. Triple sec.
I got my orange liqueur.
Orange juice, if you old school, orange juice.
Oh, we can do orange juice?
Ball? Yes, we use orange juice in the ball. We use orange juice.
I was like, I'm with Justini. I got to.
Oh no, straight from the ballroom. Fresh lime juice. 3 wedges.
Can I just take a shot?
That always works. We're gonna shake.
Rashida! Wait, I heard about the pink grapes. Can you take Rashida back? Because I heard about the pink grapes. And then she makes it.
I'm already sipping. My cup's empty, girl.
About halfway. And we're gonna top off. I'm using a rosé spritzer.
I got my rosé.
Tap it off.
Ooh, that's
and there
pretty.
You go.
Wait,
isn't that pretty?
I haven't done a margarita with rosé before.
And what are we cheering
to? Just black women being dope. Can we just keep it that simple? And incredible. And all the black women out there that need rest, that need joy. Black women that need goodness. That we are going to walk like we already won.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers for sure. Yes.
And that is delicious. Justini, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank y'all for having me.
I love you. See, I want to get you on for a little bit too, because I want to have some of these conversations. Because I
think you need to go answer the 2 questions that Justini and I did, because they were really good questions. I would love to see what you have to say.
I mean,
so the first one was giving the power to rewind. What would you do differently in your life?
You know, it's really interesting because it's really interesting because I don't think I would change anything. I feel like all the things that I have been through, good, bad, ugly, forged the person that I am. And I don't know which thing removing it would change me in such a way that I wouldn't be the person that I am. I wouldn't have learned the lessons that I did. And so I always get like intrinsically, like I'm like, I don't want that mess. But at the same time, like the lessons I've learned and the pieces, like the places I grew from, and when I look at where I was years ago and where I am now, I'm like, I'm actually really proud of the development that I've gotten. And I don't know which piece of crap really like was the thing that informed me most. And so I'll take it. I'll take it.
I love it. That's a good one. I love it. The other one we did was what is preventing you from becoming the person you want to be?
Me. You know, I will say, you know, when we talk about imposter syndrome, we talk about Black women doubting self and doubting worth. I think that there are moments that I am absolutely the queen of that. You know, even when I first wrote Citizen She and Citizen She United, I actually wrote it for someone else to run it. It was a space that I wanted to exist in the world, but I did not think that I had enough to run this space with other Black women. And then life happened and, you know, here I am. But I will say that there's one person that stops me, that puts brakes on me. It's me. Yeah. Lauren.
Next. What is holding me back? What's stopping me right now is this margarita. Lord have mercy, Justina. I don't know if I need ice. I don't know what I need. I know I need to go early. I'm saying because oh my Lord.
Yes. Let it control you.
I love it. Energy.
Everything.
Let it control you. It'll tell you what to do.
I know we have like a whole program set up. I know we have like things set out, but I kind of want to talk about this debate a little bit with y'all. Can we do that? And I think we have Rashida in the room. If we can bring Rashida up. Who else is in here? Yes, Rashida. Y'all wait. When I tell y'all Rashida is my boo. It's someone that rocks hard for Black women and Black girls all day. Rashida. Like, when your name is in my house, my kids cry. Because they know it's and love that is there.
You know that's my boo.
Yay, okay, we have camera crew that's here. So we are also like having this filmed also. So I'm moving around and stuff. It's gonna be cool. Hi guys, how you guys doing? So I want to talk about this debate a little bit. Can we have that conversation just before we get into it? Because they're going to be talking about some things that I want to make sure us Black women are paying attention to as we talk in noise. You know what I'm saying? And so we're going to have a little PowerPoint that kind of explains the things going on. But I want to talk about, because there's 6 issues that they're going to be talking about throughout the debate. They're going to be talking about the Supreme Court, because they didn't even put a pause on RBG. Let's just say that. I got you. Meet me at the bar. Look at that. Look at that. We gonna meet me at the bar. We're gonna have cocktails and convo. You see? I mean, a little thing.
I am here for it.
I'm tipping already. I'm tipping.
Also, like, I want to shout out, 4910 Rosalie Production. Damien, he's in the background doing. He's our creative director doing production for us. So appreciate it. So you hear me say, Damien, next slide. That's who I'm talking to. So Damien, can we do next slide, please? So let's talk about what the debate is about. It's going to be moderated by Susan Page, the chief of USA Today, Washington Bureau. I don't know who she is. Y'all know who she is? I don't know. I'm just hoping that she can control this stuff.
I'm just waiting really for Kamala to eat. She's gonna eat tonight, and I'm here for it. I'm ready.
Also, Susan,
what'd you say?
I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
I said I'm hoping that Susan, whoever she is, can snatch wigs if they try to come for Kamala's throat.
Yeah, she's gonna have to referee.
Kamala's gonna snatch it. She gonna take care of it. People gonna walk out with no edges. They gonna be bald all up in here. Ain't nobody playing with them. She don't need no moderator. She is a black woman. Holler at the state. Thank black women. Okay, we don't need no help. Not for that.
Period.
We need support. We don't need that kind of help though.
Say that one more time, Shah.
Here you go for the people in the back, and have a nice day. Have a nice day. Right on my breast, sisters. Have a nice day. That's what she giving y'all. And I've been practicing my looks. But when Mike Pence start talking, when she's talking, I'll be like, see, I'm ready. Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, she's not muted though.
I know. But I know she's saying something good. We need
it looked like it too, for sure.
Yeah, wait, what's that on? Who's that? Justini. Yeah, the cocktails is on fleek in the background. I can see it. Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna be ordering some drinks from you soon. I have your drinks at the Orchid Society events. Thank you.
Justini, you're muted. Justini's muted.
Oh yeah, you are muted.
I got you.
Yeah, I got you. Delicious at all times.
Thank you.
I love it. So, like, of all the things that they're going to be talking about, they're going to talk about the Supreme Court. They're talking about race, and we know how that went last time. They're going to be talking about Trump's. Like, what is the thing that y'all think is the most important for us to listen to?
For me to be 100, right? Like Mike Pence is a whole damn well, he's not really. I wouldn't say he's a liar, but he's a religious fanatic. So I really would be paying attention to like what his analysis is about any issue, because if it's heavily religious, then even though Black women are certainly the spiritual keepers in our community, his brand of religion is going to be very oppressive to Black women in particular. So I want to be listening to his analysis of how he thinks about issues. There are very few issues on which we align.
Yeah.
So I would like to just hear what he has to say, if he even has a thought or concern for Black women. I don't think that he does.
Yeah.
For me, I'm actually really looking forward to hearing Kamala talk about her evolution as a politician, the evolution of her ideas around criminal justice reform. And quite frankly, I'm ready for people to see Kamala as a just grown ass woman who has a family, who is beyond just the image that they have of her. She's a human being. So I'm ready to see her relate to the American people around like the things that really matter to them, which is their families.
Yeah. As Black women, like, what do y'all think the most important thing that we're looking for in leadership of our country? Like, the reality is that we live in a space, especially in Louisiana, where we're at the highest pay gap. The maternal mortality is like some bull. I mean, like real talk, like Black women, even though we know we're dope and society knows we're dope, they don't treat us like we're dope.
No.
Right? Policies reflect that they don't really think that we're as dope as they feel they are. So we are. What is it that you think Black women are looking for to change? And hear from our leadership, moving forward. I'm just, what do y'all think about that? I'm looking at you. Laura keep talking noise. Like, I can't hear it. I'm like, I want to know what Laura's
I do too.
Also, I think Kelly's in the room. Is Kelly here?
I think
there
she is.
is.
There she is.
Hey, Kelly.
Oh, finally made it. Oh, you made it. Good. I will have to drop off the rest of the swag bags to you guys over the weekend.
Hold on, this will be safe this weekend, okay?
Oh, well, that's true. That's true. I keep forgetting. I don't probably take the weather as serious as I should, but that's not what we're here to talk about. So.
I love it. So okay, so we're talking a little bit of Kelly about what Black women are looking for in leadership. What we're looking to hear. I'd love for you to and we're gonna get y'all also like these glasses. This whole thing is literally like Kelly coming to me saying, I got sponsorship, I can make this happen. You know, like Kelly is like beauty and brilliance and all things good. And it really like was the president of ensuring that this Black girl party can happen. So thank you, Kelly, so much for your love, support, guidance, all that goodness.
No, thank you. And thank everybody for participating. Rashida, Justini, aka Jessica. I call her Justini. I see Ashley in the chat. But
thank you, Kelly.
To answer your question, I really want to see. I really hope. It's not that I don't want to see Kamala play respectable politics, but I really want her to come in waving the 4-4. Like I really want her to come in and just kind of stand her ground on everything. I don't think this is the time for her to be ladylike or worried about if she's gonna look like this or that type of Black woman. Like I think she just needs to come in and really just stand her ground. In terms of what I'm looking for in her leadership, I am really looking for Kamala to have an extraordinary amount of intentionality behind building an anti-racist country, so to speak. Like I really want a woman who is really going to push for things like affordable health care, universal pre-K, things of that nature. And I really want her to not shy away again from any of it. I do realistically believe that she will be president. And that's not wishing anything on anybody else, but I think there's a realistic chance that she could be president. And so I really just want her to stand in her own and just be what a Black woman really is. And just, do I'll just stop there because I don't want to go down any rabbit holes. So I'll just stop there for right now.
I wonder, when we talk about all the issues that Black folks and Black women navigate through, you saying something, Lauren? Did I interrupt you? It's okay.
I don't know what's going on.
Lauren is like,
because I realized I had to turn my camera on.
All Lauren went through a drink and talk noise right now. I see you, Lauren. I see you. But all the issues that we hear navigating through, at the core of it, we talk about race and being an anti-racist country. Do y'all think that being an anti-racist country is the most important thing that we have to navigate through right now or eradicate before we get to where we want to be? I mean, sometimes at the end of it, I always want to be having a conversation about race and a conversation about my gender.
It is for me because I feel like if you go to any margin, you will find Black people there. So it doesn't matter if we talk about healthcare. It doesn't matter if we talk about climate. It doesn't matter if we talk about education. It doesn't matter. If you go to the margins, that's where you will find Black and brown people. So race is inevitable. So I mean that's my short answer to that. So I think if you start at the margins, and most people aren't courageous enough to go to the margins, but if you start at the margins, which again, I would want my next Black leadership to do, that's where you will find Black people for sure.
That's for real. You guys have any thoughts on that? Because I think about that all the time. At the end of it, I can't have a conversation about money without talking about race and gender. I can't have a conversation about my health without talking about race and gender. And so I'm like, if we're gonna like get to the core of what it means for Black women to live in this world, not just unapologetically Black, because we do that well, but like for the world to like accept that in a way that we're not penalized for walking around as bold and brave as Black as we are, you know?
No, I don't really know what my position is on that because, I think that this country is just inherently racist. It's like it's at the core of who this nation is. The country is inherently oppressive, and actually, I have not the highest regard for our identity as a nation. I have a high regard for the contributions that my ancestors made here. We talk about like, this is the greatest country in the world. This country could be like incredible, but how the hell I don't know how any Black person in America could say this is the greatest country in the world. I don't see it, because it's not been great to us. And just saying things like, it's a free country, we can say we want to say. I understand that in other spaces that's not a possibility, but if free speech, the reward for free speech is me being oppressed and me being called out my name and me being degraded, I'm straight. Let me just tell y'all, I think what is important to me right now is that we have leadership that is thoughtful, leadership that is intentional, but also, like, for me, Kamala is, she feels very accessible for me. She's my sorority sister. I feel like I could be like, yo, somebody Alpha chapter, can you get her on the horn? Because we need to talk to her about this thing. However, that's not necessarily the case, right? And what I want to say is that it's not a foregone conclusion that Black women are just supporting any damn Black woman. First of all, she is the smartest one in the room, period.
Right.
Nobody in this race smarter than her, period, point blank. It's actually very painful to hear how stupid they are in general, right? She's the smartest one in the room. However, like, every single one of her policy positions does not align with like what I'm about. What I do think though is but let me be clear, ain't no way I'm voting for anybody but Biden Harris, period, point blank. This vote, listen, I can't take 4 more years of this foolishness. I'm not doing it, because this is literally life or death. If you don't recognize it's life or death, 200,000 people are dead. Since this, can I curse? Can I call him a hoe? Okay, so this hoe has been in office. Been in the hospital for like 2 minutes, and almost more than 1,500 people have died from this illness, this disease, or this virus. This is literally life or death. And what I need right now in terms of the next wave of leadership is leadership that is connected to the people, right? Leadership that is actually willing to open doors and create spaces for the people that they're making decisions about to be at the table and forming those decisions. And I believe that we get closer to that with these two individuals, Biden and Harris, than we do with Trump and what's up, Michael Pence, the little nut job. Yeah.
I agree with Rashida that this country has never, I always say, and I said this the other day when I was doing an interview, like, we the people, we were not considered people. So, that's where it starts. And this country has always been unapologetically anti-Black. It's crazy when white folks talking now, like, ooh, how did we get here? It's like, we've been here. We've been feeling this. But what makes this last few years feel so different? I know that I remember every time as a child when I was called the N-word. I remember every time I've been told that I was less than or made to feel. I'm clear about that. I've always been clear about that. The last few years have felt different, and I'm trying to wrap my head around why. Why nothing has really changed, but it's changed a little bit. Do y'all feel that way, or do y'all, feel like we're just in the same crap that we've always been in? I'm curious. Justini, as you're making them libations, you keep us saying, Justini. You keep us saying. So, like, you guys don't make sure people make it to the next day. When you think about that, with how this country treats us as Black women, and is this time a little bit different? Does it feel different?
No, I feel like as much as we're like changing and evolving, we're still getting held back. You know, especially as Black women, we're still, you know, we are. Like you said, we are. Our family means so much to us, so we can succeed in so much. But then our son gets killed, you know, and it takes us back, you know. So I think as much as it's changing, we're getting held back, you know, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. You know, I think about, the reason why I love Meet Me at the Bar, cocktails conversation. Like as soon as I heard it, I was like, yes, because there's this idea that Black women, we can't come together as Black women, we can't talk. Like, you know, we have all these ideas about who we are that just ain't true, right? And so I love the idea of cocktails and conversations because it promotes the idea of us connecting and talking about things that are important to us. Is that something that you thought about when you were creating cocktails and conversations and Meet Me at the Bar?
Yeah, so my partners, Cece and I, when we created it, it was more so for, like I said, the bar isn't always a physical location. It's wherever you make it. And it can be assessed at any time for any reason. So just like now, we're at the bar. We're having a live conversation about the debate. So it's just wherever you choose to have conversation over cocktails is your
That's
bar.
real. That's so real. I will say I have my bar at 9:00 every night. I got 4 kids here. I got 4. They all.
I see your bar in the corner too. So
pause. I may have had assistants setting up my bar because it is clear in this house how to set up a bar for Mia. I mean, but it's the worst. This is what we do. You know, Kelly, you know, I tell you, the other day we had that event where we had conversations about life and racism and equity. You put together such a beautiful event. I will say this piece of artwork that is sitting in my house came from that event. So I appreciate you thinking about, and people like me, and let's do this, you know? But what motivates you to think and move and feel that way, right? Like, all of us are motivated, you know, to move the way we do, but like, I love the way you move. I love the way you move, Kelly. What motivates you? Like, why do you think it's so important to make sure that Black folks are coming together and having these conversations?
Yeah. Oh, that's a loaded question. I think it's a few things. I think one, I am still a student in this movement, and I have no problem saying that. I think over the past few years, I have realized you don't know what you don't know. And I think particularly as Black people, because we live racism, we feel like we can't go to a class about racism, or we don't want to engage in panels or whatever. And I think I'm just at the point where like I want to normalize conversations around race and racism to make them, for lack of a better word, more productive. But I will also say, particularly in 2020, with all the racial uprisings and everything, you know, I'm a big believer that this moment really isn't about fixing white people, but uplifting Black people. So, you know, we had those dinners across the city, which was fine, and everybody was starting that conversation. You know, some people probably their first time having a conversation about race in their houses, and others is the thousandth. But for me, it was about having one collective conversation to share experiences in a way that we can really figure out calls to actions for our city. Because my love is for New Orleans first and foremost. I'll be honest about that. So that's a big piece of it as well, in terms of why I decided to do the dinner the way I did and host 5 at one time. But I think I don't see how people are not having these conversations. I understand why. It's exhausting. Like I'll be honest about that too. Like I get it, but I think there's a lot of beauty that's happening in this movement as well. Like I understand again how exhausting it could be at times, but like when you were asking what I think is different now, I love how Black people are finding the power to hold white people accountable and saying like, no, I'm not okay to come at work, or whatever that is or whatever. Like I think that and I tell people all the time, it's more important in my opinion that we keep Black people energized and charged and really feeling empowered or what have you, because the moment white people just kind of waiting for this to go away or what have you. So I'm just kind of like, nah, we gotta like just keep the conversation and the energy going. And I think there's just a lot of I actually think that this moment, this movement, I shouldn't even say moment, this movement, I hope it keeps the momentum, but I actually think there's a lot of beautiful things that are happening as it relates to just Black people coming together as a collective.
I agree with that, Kelly. Thank you for that. Like, I really appreciate that. Yeah. Lauren, your mic work yet? Lauren, your mic? She's looking. She's still looking because she's still lit from Justini Cocktail. Look, Lauren, like, who Lauren? Who are you talking to? I love you. Ashley, welcome. Like you said, I love you. Ashley.
Hi.
I'm Lauren, we right together. I just want to see her drinking her cocktail, smiling, happy as shit. But Ashley, welcome.
Thank you.
Excited to have you here.
I'm here. I have my cocktails. I've been mixing and drinking. I'm almost finished my first cocktail. So.
Okay. I'm double fisting, so I don't know which is my first. But we go with the same glass. Given to us by TheStyleAndTaste. Yeah. Thank you, Kelly, for the lovely glass. How long do we have before this? We got what? 12, 18 minutes. So we got a little bit of time. Ashley, I love it. Let's talk a little, because I'm loving this hair. I will say, we finished our hair week. And I'm loving like looking down this row of these Black women. With like Rashida got the pink hair, Kelly got her lady blonde, Laura fall asleep. Hello. Fell asleep. Lauren ain't gonna make it to the debate. Lauren gonna wake up tomorrow and be like, what happened, y'all? What had happened?
Don't do it like that, yo.
Actually, what do you feel when you're in a room full of Black women? When we are moving together and navigating together and fighting together and working together, what does that feel like to you?
For me, it feels like empowerment. If I'm in a room with a whole bunch of Black women, I know like something about to move. Anytime I see anything that's like successful, I'm like a Black woman behind this. When I look at different brands, and I mean, like a lot of my friends have brands, I'm like, a Black woman is behind this. Like, I already know. You can tell from certain things, like the way something moves, like if a Black woman is behind it. And I just look at it as empowerment.
Yeah. Now you tell stories through photography.
Yeah.
Which
my head is blocking my photography. We move over.
I'm just like, let me show what I got. Also, like, hey, when y'all see some of the citizenship headshots, this is where I'm gonna go get some of our headshots from. Also, make sure like some kind of project together, because like actually, like your work is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Your heart is beautiful, and I know that you are intended to tell a story behind your lens. When you're in community with Black folks, when you're in community with Black women, what is the story? What is the heart of the story that you want the world to know through your photography?
Through my photography, I really want to tell the stories of the genuine stories of our people. If you look at my photos from Second Lines, it really tells the true story of a dirty old Second Line. You will see people on the ground dancing. You will feel the energy through the photo, and I love telling those types of stories. The genuine stories of our people. A lot of people try to tell our story, but it's nothing like us telling our own story. If you people from other places may say a second line is the most dangerous thing in the world. Even some people from New Orleans may say that, but I want to tell a story of the second line is that it's just it's a dirty old party. And that's what we like to do on Sundays.
Can I just say dirty? Can I just say?
Go ahead, Kelly.
No, I was just gonna say, as far as the second line thing goes, me and my friends and family have this conversation all the time, and whenever it's asked, like, what's the most, as a visitor, like, what's the most authentic thing you could do in New Orleans? Me, my brother, and a few, we always say a second line. Like, that's the most authentic New Orleans thing that anybody could ever do, is actually participate in the second line. So I plus one everything you just said.
And one thing that the story I love to tell at second lines is the story of families, because families go to second lines. You will see the little bitty baby. I don't know, I might be a newborn. You see the whole entire family, the mother, the father, the grandma, the uncle, everybody. They might even be a part of the club.
Yeah.
And we all got footwork from baby to the old person.
Y'all want to see my footwork.
Two dance Sundays.
No, I agree. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions. Second lines and Mardi Gras. Like, I spend more time with my family going Mardi Gras, and then probably Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Even showing like the food that we cook on those days. So many people selling stuff like hot sausage sandwiches, hamburgers, you know, whatever, and it's all coming from the back of somebody's pickup truck, and no one has ever gotten sick.
And to that point, I feel like nobody does community the way Black people do.
No one. Like, you want to see that type of community, I think you can see it right here in New Orleans. I don't know anywhere else you can go to and to see this type of community, but the community work happens here right in New Orleans on Second Line Sunday. We're not having it because of the pandemic, but everything is going right now. They really would be campaigning for Biden and Kamala right now. That's what will be happening.
I love it. I also I think that whenever I'm at second line, I think that's my uncle. He's a chief now, but he's a spy boy, and the time commitment required to sew those suits.
Yes.
And I think about all the things that Black folks go through in this city, and somehow find the time to sit and meticulously sew those beads. Right, and put it on and walk around talking about our Black men walk around like I'm pretty. You know what I'm saying? And there's something incredible about those moments, and I get angry when I look at that, and then I'm like, we are the incarcerated capital of the world. We got all these things. I'm like, my folks in New Orleans are the best folks I know, and the policies make us feel like we are not, that we are less than that. And that's why, with citizenship and what we're growing, that is why I am unapologetically moving with Black women, unapologetically moving Black women right here in Louisiana. Because these policies, that we shouldn't live the way we live with all the beauty and the resources and the brilliance that we put out in the world. Our lives shouldn't look like this. And I'm tired of it. I'm pissed. I'm tired. I don't appreciate it. I'm like, and I don't want my babies living in a world where they're not Rashida. You got the babies. You guide those butterflies. And you know how far you want them to go. And we're also clear how much the world wants to hold them back.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm listening to y'all, and I just think about, I've been in New Orleans 12 years. So more than 12 years now, but I just think about the role that Black women have played in my life here, and Black girls in particular. And I think about what I desire and wish for them. God, I got a deep voice, very white. Lord Jesus. The one thing that I think about is how much Black women in this space save this city over and over and over again. Not just the city, the damn state.
Yeah.
The nation. I'm looking at Black women not nationwide bailing out this country over and over again when they be on the brink of making a stupid ass decision, and then we show up and ensure through our votes that somebody is not in office. I see Black women organizing, right? In ways that no one else could, because we're going to organize over a pot of gumbo. We're going to organize at the second line. We're going to organize at church. Like, we are going to use every platform that we have to gather family and educate. And I just think about, like, damn, we tired. That's right. And I'm not really trying to prepare another generation of girls to be weary like this, to be used like this, to be broken like this, because we do get used till we're broken. And I'm just exhausted. And so you asked the question previously, like, what's different about right now? I think we are at like the tipping point. And I asked elders, like, yo, does this feel like it did when you were young? And I actually feel really sad about the fact that, like, my mom and her generation are actually reliving this nonsense again, right? Like, it's crazy to me. But I think we're at this point where people are tired, but we're also at a point where white folks, raggedy racist white people, have a platform more than they have had in a long time, and somebody is giving the permission, somebody being the Darth Cheeto, fancy man, whatever the hell you want to call the man, invincible now, but he's given them permission to be like wild ignorant. It used to be a time where like stereotypes of Black people would make white people afraid of us, right? Now, like, the idea, the stereotype is now that white people are like these vigilantes, and this is, again, not all white people, but they have the authority and right to abuse us, right? We're not human. And it's like they verbalize that we are second rate. And what I got to tell y'all, what I really want to drive home to y'all today is this thing I've been telling everybody. This is what it looks like to watch white supremacy die. This is what it feels like to watch white supremacy die, because when they're at their end, they're going to go kicking and mother freaking screaming, but they still going to die regardless. White supremacy is at its end. I'm going to say that again. White supremacy is at its end. So just be prepared, because the worst still may be yet to come. But come November 3rd, son, I watched Brown Sugar today. Done, son. We're going to watch that whole walk right about the White House. Well, he might have to go kicking and screaming, but I'm sure that those Secret Service agents that was riding in the car with him the other day when he decided to do the drive-by are going to help move his little behind out. It's time, y'all.
That's Sheeta. I don't even know what to say after that, because that is literally what I've been feeling in my heart, right? I'm like, it's uncomfortable. It's like, it's crazy, but I feel like we're actually closer to winning than we've ever been before. And, that's why I say, I tell my team, you're supposed to walk like we already won, because we are. And I also will say that, when we talk about election, I ask people about voting, we actually don't have a choice. And I'm just going to throw that out there. You don't have a choice to not vote. You don't have a choice. We have to. We have to save our own lives. We have to save these our babies' lives. Like, we just don't have a choice. How do y'all feel about when y'all hear people around you? And we're in Louisiana. Most Black women in Louisiana don't vote. I mean, that is just real. We talk about Black women showing up, but in Louisiana we don't. 700,000 Black women eligible, 157,000 actually vote, right? So most Black women, that's inclusive of our friends, right? Business owners, doctors, lawyers, you know what I'm saying? It's everybody. What do y'all feel when y'all hear Black women? And I care about other people, but I care most about Black women. What do y'all feel when y'all hear Black women say they're not voting, or they don't feel part of the system, because the system intentionally works to make us not feel a part of it? So it's not by accident that they feel that way. But what does it feel like when you hear that?
Yo, on some real, I really think about how I talked about our weariness and how tired we are. This is the Nat Ministry thing is something I've been following, and I've been talking to different people talking about just the power of rest. Right. And Black women rarely have that opportunity because we just doing the most. Right. Like, hey, Dashell, I see one of my boos on here. I saw Nakia. So I got to shout out my homies. But I think about one of the reasons why I think Black women in New Orleans, not New Orleans, but Louisiana, are not voting is because we working. right? If you think about a wage gap where we're making 48 cents, it's 48 cents, right? For every dollar that white men are making, we have to work when, by and large, in our families, we are single-headed households, right? We're raising families, and not saying just because we're single parents, we're alone, because we still have community, we still have fathers that are involved. But when you're the primary breadwinner and leader of your household and you're not making enough, so if I'm making 48 cents for every dollar that a white man makes in this state, then that means I have to work more than 2 times as hard, just to provide for my family. And so when we're not showing up to vote, sometimes it feels like an impossible feat to be able to do that. Make sure the kids get fed, make sure they're eating, make sure the house is clean, make sure that I find my way to work because I can barely provide or access transportation. Like, it's so many different hurdles that we have to jump to get there. But what I feel is, what I want Black women to understand is that we could make the difference between, in any election. We can turn any election a different, whatever direction we want to, if we just showed up. If we just showed up, we could like totally be on a takeover. That's just a fact.
Yeah, I mean,
that's right.
Okay,
well, go ahead, Kelly. I just want to put a warning out there. We're 4 minutes out to the debate. 4 minutes out. So go ahead, Kelly. I just
kind of wanted to put a fine point on what Rashida said. One, because I want to make it clear when you ask how I feel about that. like when Black women don't vote, it's not out of apathy. It's the complete opposite. It is because they want to fix this. They just don't see voting as the tool. And the reality is, voting isn't a panacea. It is just that. It is a tool. So it really is, for me, even as I think about what my pivots and organizing will look like moving forward, it's really about how do I get Black women engaged in a way to use their tools. Because as just Rashida said, between the weariness and just being at work, what have you, it's sad, and it's I know it's strategic on the country's part, but how like disenfranchised they've kind of made us, because they know the power that we have, and so how they do everything to keep us from voting. But it is something that I think about all the time. I mean, I can't echo Rashida's sentiments enough. Black women literally could flip this state, and have it looking like just completely different. And that's why, before we get off, I have to say, even outside of this getting this booger out of office in the White House, it is equally as important that you guys know the judges that you're voting for, the DAs that you're voting for, and everything in between, or what have you. Because we talk about New Orleans and just moving forward, from the city to the state to the country, every check, every ballot, it all makes such a difference. And Black women just Black people are holding up the party now. Black women are holding up the party now. So I mean, just to your point, if more of us showed up to vote, it would be around. Yeah. So I just wanted to add my little 2 cents on that piece.
Kelly, that's like 25. That's 50. That's a whole dollar. Like that is. Because that is the realest thing. And I thought we were 3 minutes out. Thank you, Damien, for letting us know we are actually 11 minutes out, so we can do a little bit more talking. Because Kelly, like what you and Rashida, and you hit on the nail on the head, is that Black women in this state could literally, in this cycle, if we showed up, if all 700,000 Black women showed up. I know I say we have a road to 300,000. That's just so funders won't think I'm crazy. But like the reality is my goal is every single Black woman that is eligible to vote, show up. We just got to do it at least once. And we can knock things out and change the trajectory of our lives, our babies' lives. And you change Louisiana, you change the South. You change the South, you change this entire country, right? And so the reality is that, yes, there's a lot of weight on our shoulders. Always has been, always will be. But it's like when you're pushing that boulder up, if you just take that one more step and get it up to the mountain, right? Man. Like I cry sometimes thinking about what is possible. And that's why, like I say, I don't want people to vote because they're scared of what will happen if they don't vote. Because it is about voting because of what is possible if we all show up. And, you know, and Kelly, like, I'm so grateful that you were like pushing for this to happen. And like, you know, you and I have been on the phone, texting, emailing, putting all the pieces together. You know, we've had, you know, great teams working with us. But like making this happen is so important because we can no longer mute Black women's voices, opinions, thoughts, feelings. Like all of it is valid. All of it is there. Ashley, like, I really want to hear what you got to say, you know, about all of this. Like, how do you feel about voting? Like, because some people don't feel it's a pathway there, and I get it. Because as you're navigating through all the crap, you're like, really, me showing up, pushing this button is going to change the trajectory of the reality of what I'm living. So I know you hear that, you know, especially when you're out in community taking pictures, and during this kind of climate, people are like, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't need to do that. How does that resonate with you?
I just think that it's very important for us to continue to have the conversation around voting, and also just talking to our friends about it, because some people are just not, when you think about voting, because to me it feels like it's very political, and a lot of us don't like to have that uncomfortable conversation about politics. You know, it's always said, like in a Black household, like you don't talk about politics and religion because you know you're about to get into it with someone. So I guess that's one thing that we probably need to erase in our community, is about that stigma about the conversation surrounding politics and religion. And to be honest with you, I'm really just getting into politics. I'm not this person that can tell you every little bit tidbit about politics, but I know that this election coming up is very, very important. That I know that I need to bring myself to the ballot and vote Democrat, or we're in a lot of trouble.
Can I pose a question? Can I pose a question? Because I mean, I hear you loud and clear, Ashley, on the politics thing and, you know, all of that stuff. And so my question is, and it kind of is triggered by what Ashley just said, and also what I was saying about like, I forgot now. But anyway, my question about voting not being a panacea but a tool. My question to you guys is, because one of the things that I've been trying to figure out the best way to push and articulate and organizing is, even when you go vote, your job really isn't done.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I did my job, now it's up to my politicians to do the rest, right? And I think that's where the whole lack of trust from politicians comes in place, because you didn't do, I voted for you, my outcome is not different. There's a lot of trust, you know, politics or whatever. So I've been giving a lot of thought as to what organizing should look like in our community to say, okay, we got this. Now here's my agenda. How do we organize around agendas? How do we organize around accountability for our politicians? So forth and so on. So I'm just curious if you guys have any insights or thoughts related to that.
I think that we should start from the beginning. On what
I feel what you're saying, Kelly.
Oh.
Go ahead, Ash.
I was just saying that I think we just need to start from the beginning on why it's important to vote for the judges. Why it's important to vote for all these different people besides the presidential election. Mm-hmm. So I think we need to go back to that, like what each one of these people, what their job is, and what can they change and what they can't change.
Yeah, no, because I ain't gonna lie, I can't think of an election where I went to go cast a vote and it was probably some candidate section or whatever where I really didn't know everything about all the judges. That's probably happened, and I promised myself it would not happen in this one. And I have been, doing more research, but like I can't think of any time I voted where like there's been a judge or something, and I've been like, I don't really know what, and I'm usually just looking at the flyer, the mailer, and I'm just like, all right, this is the person. Or whatever. I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
And it's not, I'm not proud of it, but it's just, I've been giving that a lot of thought just in terms of the locality of how we vote.
Yo, for real though, like I don't think there's any election where I haven't been like, what? what is this amendment for? What, you know, and I will do my due diligence of like trying to figure it out. But sometimes like people are intentionally vague and don't educate people because one, they don't even care if you show up, right? They're not even talking to you. So one of the reasons why it's important to vote is because the people who you're saying are not paying you attention are not going to pay you attention if you don't show up to the polls. Like they'll legit be like, oh, what was the turnout here? No need for me to go up there. They're not paying attention. But the other thing, somebody in the chat said they can't relate to the candidates. Y'all, I haven't been able to relate to a boss. For most of the times I had jobs, I couldn't relate to my boss, right? But my black ass still showed up and went to work because I had to get a job done because there was something I needed to bring home. That's how I look at this election. No matter how you look at it, whether you can relate to them or not, I don't need to relate to you. I need you to get the job done. And what I do know is that I don't expect them to save my life or wildly transform my life. But what I will tell you about this politics game is that if we don't show up, if we're not engaged, they're still going to impact our lives one way or the other. And the likelihood that they're going to oppress us and do more damage to us is very high, particularly when we're silent. And so show up to this shit like you show up to a job that you know you have to go to get something at the end of the day for your family. Right? Yes. Even though it is never enough. It is never enough. You're never getting paid enough. The politicians are never doing enough. So show up like you do for your job. And black women know we be working.
Yes.
Sheena, I'm just gonna like let that mic drop because we are getting really close to the debate time. You know, we had a whole program. We're gonna do a little educating about the debate. We had DJ NVMD. We're gonna rock some more. But Rashida, like that right there, I got my strap in. I'm ready to go. So, okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna move to the next portion of our thing. Never mind, we're gonna bring you back for the after party. So y'all, like, the party ain't over. We just gonna put it on pause, for the time being. But we are going to. There she is. That's my DJ. So we're going to put it on pause for a second because we are going to listen what these people have to say. There are 8 segments. They're 15 minutes each. They're supposed to have 2 minutes. Hopefully, people respect the rules a little bit so we can hear what people got to say and ain't crazy. But we got our drinks if it is, right? I think we should say something. We take a sip when something happens. What's the thing? I don't know.
I just feel like whenever we feel like Kamala really fucking stings his ass, that's what. That's right. Listen, just use
y'all. It's on. We playing. It's on. She talking.
I know. So we about to play. We about to play. Right. So, commentators, y'all move on to the live, and we're gonna watch this debate as it's happening right now, and we will see you guys at the after party.
How many times have we heard Mike Pence say, we stand on his broad shoulders? Look, instead of pointing to my shoulders, we stand on his shoulders, and he's got to defend.
No, if he goes out there and defends Donald Trump like he has for the last 4 years, you can mail this in. Look, doesn't he have to defend? Mike Pence is running for president tonight because the question is not whether these guys are potentially going to be the president, it's when they're going to be the president, right?
When they're going to,
because these are older men who are not well, and so if I were Mike, that's how I'd be thinking. I'm running for president right now, and I've got to be my own guy. And if he's out there just apologizing for Trump, number one, it's not going to help himself. He's not going to help Donald Trump.
What do you think?
That's very tough. He is the running mate. I understand that, and he's not at the top. He's got to make the case that Donald Trump didn't effectively make on COVID, and he's got to prosecute the case on Kamala Harris being for stacking the court, being for eliminating private health insurance. Those are big issues that he can hammer.
We're just seconds away. Let's go back to Jay. Well, we hope that coronavirus is only figuratively present in the debate hall this evening, and not literally present, but it's certainly going to be a major subject, the smog of it all, and the administration's mishandling of it, both when it comes to the national response and also to the fact that the White House is a hot spot.
Yeah. Let's just say, seeing those pictures that we just saw, I'm happy to see that it seems that everybody's following the rules this time. They are wearing their masks in their seat, which is a far cry from what we saw last week. But those atmospherics are going to really frame this debate. The job for the Pence side is going to be, how do you get the attention off of COVID and onto some other things? We're getting
with plexiglass right there.
Plexiglass right in front of you. We're already seeing Pence, signaling he's going to be aiming for something that could be a weakness for Kamala Harris, foreign policy. She's not as experienced in that area as he has become since becoming vice president. So this is going to be a game of cat and mouse here between the two of them.
It will. What's interesting is that in talking to sources in both camps, of course, coronavirus is, as you said, the other, kind of entity on the stage there, unfortunately. And things have changed a lot since the president and his wife and so many other people in the White House have gotten COVID. But when it comes to the substance of what they have been preparing in both sides, it hasn't changed that much. Kamala Harris was always planning on hitting coronavirus incredibly hard, particularly the fact that he is the head of the coronavirus task force. He has culpability. She's going to actually question his competence, of course. And then vice versa. He was always planning on hitting her on her, radical left positions, whether or not that's true. And
I think the American people know that this is a president who has put the health of America first, and the American people, I believe with my heart, can be proud of the sacrifices they have made. It's saved countless American lives.
Senator Harris, would you like to respond?
Absolutely. Whatever the vice president is claiming the administration has done, clearly it hasn't worked. When you're looking at over 210,000 dead bodies in our country, American lives that have been lost, families that are grieving that loss. And the vice president is the head of the task force and knew on January 28th how serious this was. And then thanks to Bob Woodward, we learned that they knew about it. And then when that was exposed, the vice president said, when asked, well, why didn't y'all tell anybody? He said, because the president wanted people to remain calm. Well, let's get right. No, but Susan, this is important. I want to add, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
Yeah, you have 15 more seconds, and then we'll give the vice president a chance to.
So I want to ask the American people, how calm were you when you were panicked about where you're going to get your next roll of toilet paper? How calm were you when your kids were sent home from school and you didn't know when they could go back? How calm were you when your children couldn't see your parents because you were afraid they could kill them?
Let's give Vice President Pence a chance to respond. Vice President Pence, you have 1 minute to respond.
There's not a day gone by that I haven't thought of every American family that's lost a loved one. And I want all of you to know that you'll always be in our hearts and in our prayers. But when you say what the American people have done over these last 8 months hasn't worked, that's a great disservice to the sacrifices the American people have made. The reality, if I may finish, Senator, the reality is, Dr. Fauci said, everything that he told the president in the Oval Office, the president told the American people. Now, President Trump, I will tell you, has boundless confidence in the American people, and he always spoke with confidence that we'd get through this together. But when you say it hasn't worked, when Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx and our medical experts came to us in the second week of March, they said if the president didn't take the unprecedented step of shutting down roughly half of the American economy, that we could lose 2.2 million Americans. But that's the reality.
Thank you.
They also said to us, if we did everything right, Susan, we could still lose more than 200,000 Americans.
Vice President,
now, one life lost is too many, Susan. But the American people, I believe, deserve credit for the sacrifices that they have made, putting the health of their family and their neighbors first, our doctors, our nurses, our first responders.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
And I'm going to speak up on behalf of what the American people have done.
Vice President Pence, you were in the front row in a Rose Garden event 11 days ago, what seems to have been a super spreader event for senior administration and congressional officials. No social distancing,
few masks, and now a cluster of coronavirus cases among those who were there. How can you expect Americans to follow the administration's safety guidelines to protect themselves from COVID when you at the White House have not been doing so?
Well, the American people have demonstrated over the last 8 months that when given the facts, they're willing to put the health of their families and their neighbors and people they don't even know first. Well, President Trump and I have great confidence in the American people and their ability to take that information and put it into practice. In the height of the epidemic, when we were losing a heartbreaking number of 2,500 Americans a day, we surged resources to New Jersey and New York and New Orleans and Detroit. We told the American people what needed to be done, and the American people made the sacrifices. When the outbreak in the Sun Belt happened this summer, again, Americans stepped forward. But the reality is the work of the President of the United States goes on. A vacancy on the Supreme Court of the United States has come upon us, and the President introduced Judge Amy Coney Barrett.
Thank you, Vice President.
If I may say, that Rose Garden event, there's been a great deal of speculation about it. My wife Karen and I were there and honored to be there. Many of the people who were at that event, Susan, actually were tested for coronavirus, and it was an outdoor event, which all of our scientists regularly and routinely advise. The difference here is President Trump and I trust the American people to make choices in the best interest of their health. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris consistently talk about mandates, and not just mandates with the coronavirus, but a government takeover of health care, the Green New Deal, all government control. We're about freedom and respecting the freedom of the American people.
Let's talk about respecting the American people. You respect the American people when you tell them the truth. You respect the American people when you have the courage to be a leader, speaking of those things that you may not want people to hear, but they need to hear so they can protect themselves. But this administration stood on information that if you had as a parent, if you had as a worker knowing you didn't have enough money saved up, and now you're standing in a food line because of the ineptitude of an administration that was unwilling to speak the truth to the American people. So let's talk about caring about the American people. The American people have had to sacrifice far too much because of the incompetence of this administration. It is asking too much of the people.
Susan,
It is asking too much of the people that they would not be equipped with the information they need to help themselves to protect their parents and their children.
Kamala Harris, Senator Harris, I'm sorry.
That's fine, I'm Kamala.
No, Senator Harris to me. For life to get back to normal, Dr. Anthony Fauci and other experts say that most of the people who can be vaccinated need to be vaccinated. But half of Americans now say they wouldn't take a vaccine if it was released now. If the Trump administration approves a vaccine before or after the election, should Americans take it, and would you take it?
If the public health professionals, if Dr. Fauci, if the doctors tell us that we should take it, I'll be the first in line to take it. Absolutely. But if Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
Vice President Pence, there have been a lot of repercussions from this pandemic. In recent days, the president's diagnosis of COVID-19 has underscored the importance of the job that you hold and that you are seeking. That's our second topic tonight. It's the role of the vice president. One of you will make history on January 20th. You will be the vice president to the oldest president the United States has ever had. Donald Trump will be 74 years old on Inauguration Day. Joe Biden will be 78 years old. That already has raised concerns among some voters, concerns that have been sharpened by President Trump's hospitalization in recent days. Vice President Pence, have you had a conversation or reached an agreement with President Trump about safeguards or procedures when it comes to the issue of presidential disability? And if not, do you think you should? You have 2 minutes without interruption.
Well, Susan, thank you. Although I would like to go back.
I think we need to move on to the issue.
But I would like to go back because the reality is that we're going to have a vaccine, Senator, in record time, in unheard of time, in less than a year. We have 5 companies in phase 3 clinical trials, and we're right now producing tens of millions of doses. So the fact that you continue to undermine public confidence in a vaccine, if a vaccine emerges during the Trump administration, I think is is unconscionable. And Senator, I just ask you, stop playing politics with people's lives. The reality is that we will have a vaccine, we believe, before the end of this year. And it will have the capacity to save countless American lives. And your continuous undermining of confidence in a vaccine is just, it's just unacceptable. And let me also say, the reality is when you talk about failure in this administration, we actually do know what failure looks like in a pandemic. It was 2009. The swine flu arrived in the United States. Thankfully, it ended up not being as lethal as the coronavirus. But before the end of the year, when Joe Biden was vice president of the United States, not 7.5 million people contracted the swine flu. 60 million Americans contracted the swine flu. If the swine flu had been as lethal as the coronavirus in 2009, when Joe Biden was vice president, we would have lost 2 million American lives. His own chief of staff, Ron Klain, would say last year that it was pure luck that they did, quote, everything possible wrong. And we learned from that. They left the strategic national stockpile empty. They left an empty and hollow plan, but we still learned from it. And I think the American people, I'm going to say again, can be proud of what we have done. And Senator, please stop undermining confidence in a vaccine.
Senator Harris, let me ask you the same question that I asked Vice President Pence, which is, have you had a conversation or reached an agreement with Vice President Biden about safeguards or procedures when it comes to the issue of presidential disability? And if not, and if you win the election next month, do you think you should? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
So let me tell you, first of all, the day I got the call from Joe Biden, it was actually a Zoom call, asking me to serve with him on this ticket was probably one of the most memorable days of my life. I thought about my mother, who came to the United States at the age of 19, gave birth to me at the age of 25. At Kaiser Hospital in Oakland, California. And the thought that I'd be sitting here right now, I know would make her proud. And she must be looking down on this. Joe and I were raised in a very similar way. We were raised with values that are about hard work, about the value and the dignity of public service, and about the importance of fighting for the dignity of all people. And I think Joe asked me to serve with him because I have a career that included being elected the first woman district attorney of San Francisco, where I created models of innovation for law enforcement in terms of reform of the criminal justice system. I was elected the first woman of color and Black woman to be elected Attorney General of the state of California, where I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of Justice. And there I took on everything from transnational criminal organizations to the big banks that were taking advantage of homeowners to for-profit colleges that were taking advantage of veterans. And then, of course, now I serve in the United States Senate as only the second Black woman ever elected to the United States Senate. I serve on the Senate Intelligence Committee, where I've been in regular receipt of classified information about threats to our nation and hotspots around the world. I've traveled the world. I've met with our soldiers in war zones. And I think Joe has asked me to serve with him because he knows that we share a purpose, which is about lifting up the American people. And after the 4 years that we have seen of Donald Trump unifying our country around our common values and principles.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Neither President Trump nor Vice President Biden has released a sort of detailed health information that had become the modern norm until the 2016 election. And in recent days, President Trump's doctors have given misleading answers or refused to answer basic questions about his health. And my question to each of you in turn is this information voters deserve to know? Vice President Pence, would you like to go first?
Well, Susan, thank you. And let me say on behalf of the President and the First Lady, how moved we've all been by the outpouring of prayers and concern for the President. And I do believe it's emblematic of the prayers and the concern that have ushered forth for every American impacted by the coronavirus. But the care the President received at Walter Reed Hospital, the White House doctors, was exceptional. And the transparency that they practiced all along the way will continue. The American people have a right to know about the health and well-being of their president, and will continue to do that. But I'm just extremely grateful and was more than a little moved by the broad and bipartisan support. And Senator, I want to thank you and Joe Biden for your expressions of genuine concern. And I also want to congratulate you, as I did on that phone call, on the historic nature of your nomination.
Thank you.
I never expected to be on this stage 4 years ago, so I know the feeling. But the reality is we've got an election before the American people in the midst of this challenging year. And the stakes have never been higher, but I think the choice has never been clearer.
I want to give Senator Harris a chance to respond to the same question I asked, which is, do voters have a right to know more detailed health information about presidential candidates, and especially about presidents, especially when they're facing some kind of challenge?
Absolutely. And that's why Joe Biden has been so incredibly transparent. And certainly by contrast, the president has not, both in terms of health records, but also let's look at taxes. We now know, because of great investigative journalism, that Donald Trump paid $750 in taxes. When I first heard about it, I literally said, "You mean $750,000? And it was like, no, $750. We now know Donald Trump owes and is in debt for $400 million. And just so everyone is clear, when we say in debt, it means you owe money to somebody. And it'd be really good to know who the president of the United States, the commander-in-chief, owes money to, because the American people have a right to know what is influencing the president's decisions. And is he making those decisions on the best interest of the American people, of you, or self-interest? So, Susan, I'm glad you asked about transparency, because it has to be across the board. Joe has been incredibly transparent over many, many years. The one thing we all know about Joe, he puts it all out there. He is honest. He is forthright. But Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been about covering up everything.
Thank you, Senator Harris. I want to give you a chance to respond, Vice President.
Well, look, I respect the fact that Joe Biden spent 47 years in public life. I respect your public service as well.
Thank you.
The American people have a president who's a businessman. He's a job creator. He's paid tens of millions of dollars in taxes, payroll taxes, property taxes. He's created tens of thousands of American jobs. The president said those public reports are not accurate. And the president's also released literally stacks of financial disclosures the American people can review just as the law allows. But the distinction here is that Joe Biden, 47 years in public service, compared to President Donald Trump, who brought all of that experience 4 years ago.
Thank you, Vice
Turned this economy around by cutting taxes, rolling back regulation,
Thank you, Vice President.
energy, fighting for free and fair trade, and all of that's on the line if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
You know, that's a good segue into our third topic, which is about the economy. This has been another aspect of life for Americans. It's been so affected by this coronavirus. We have a jobs crisis brewing. On Friday, we learned that the unemployment rate had declined to 7.9% in September, but the job growth had stalled. And that was before the latest round of layoffs and furloughs in the airline industry at Disney and elsewhere. Hundreds of thousands of discouraged workers have stopped looking for work. Nearly 11 million jobs that existed at the beginning of the year haven't been replaced. Those hardest hit include Latinos, Blacks, and women. Senator Harris, the Biden-Harris campaign has proposed new programs to boost the economy, and you would pay for that new spending by raising $4 trillion in taxes on wealthy individuals and corporations. Some economists warn that could curb entrepreneurial ventures that fuel growth and create jobs. Would raising taxes put the recovery at risk? And you have 2 minutes to answer uninterrupted.
Thank you. On the issue of the economy, I think there couldn't be a more fundamental difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Joe Biden believes you measure the health and the strength of America's economy based on the health and the strength of the American worker and the American family. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who measures the strength of the economy based on how rich people are doing, which is why he passed a tax bill benefiting the top 1% and the biggest corporations of America, leading to a $2 trillion deficit that the American people are going to have to pay for. On day one, Joe Biden will repeal that tax bill. He'll get rid of it. And what he'll do with the money is invest it in the American people. And through a plan that is about investing in infrastructure, something that Donald Trump said he would do. I remember hearing about some infrastructure week. I don't think it ever happened. But Joe Biden will do that. He'll invest in infrastructure. It's about upgrading our roads and bridges, but also investing in clean energy and renewable energy. Joe is going to invest that money in what we need to do around innovation. There was a time when our country believed in science and invested in research and development so that we were an innovation leader on the globe. Joe Biden will use that money to invest in education. So, for example, for folks who want to go to a 2-year community college, it will be free. If you come from a family that makes less than $125,000, you'll go to a public university for free. And across the board, we'll make sure that if you have student loan debt, it's cut by $10,000. That's how Joe Biden thinks about the economy, which is it's about investing in the people of our country as opposed to passing a tax bill, which had the benefit of letting American corporations go offshore to do their business.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Vice President Pence, your administration has been predicting a rapid and robust recovery, but the latest economic report suggests that's not happening. Should Americans be braced for an economic comeback that is going to take not months, but a year or more? You have 2 minutes to answer uninterrupted.
When President Trump and I took office, America had gone through the slowest economic recovery since the Great Depression. So when Joe Biden was vice president, they tried to tax and spend and regulate and bail our way back to a growing economy. President Trump cut taxes across the board. Despite what Senator Harris says, the average American family of 4 had $2,000 in savings in taxes. And with the rise in wages that occurred, most predominantly for blue-collar, hardworking Americans, the average household income for a family of 4 increased by $4,000 following President Trump's tax cuts. But America, you just heard Senator Harris tell you, on day one, Joe Biden's going to raise your taxes. It's really remarkable to think. I mean, right after a time where we're going through a pandemic that lost 22 million jobs at the height, we've already added back 11.6 million jobs because we had a president who cut taxes, rolled back regulation, unleashed American energy, fought for free and fair trade, and secured $4 trillion from the Congress of the United States to give direct payments to families, save 50 million jobs through the Paycheck Protection Program. We literally have spared no expense to help the American people and the American worker through this. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris want to raise taxes. They want to bury our economy under a $2 trillion Green New Deal, which you were one of the original co-sponsors of in the United States Senate. They want to abolish fossil fuels and ban fracking, which would cost hundreds of thousands of American jobs all across the heartland. And Joe Biden wants to go back to the economic surrender to China, that when we took office, half of our international trade deficit was with China alone. And Joe Biden wants to repeal all of the tariffs that President Trump put into effect to fight for American jobs and American workers. Joe Biden says democracy's on the ballot. Make no mistake about it, Susan. And the American economy, the American comeback is on the ballot with 4 more years of growth and opportunity, 4 more years of President Donald Trump. 2021 is going to be the biggest economic year in the history of this country.
Thank you, Vice President Pence. Senator Harris?
Well, I mean, I thought we saw enough of it in last week's debate, but I think this is supposed to be a debate based on fact and truth. And the truth and the fact is Joe Biden has been very clear. He will not raise taxes on anybody who makes less than $400,000 a year.
Repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Well,
I'm speaking.
The important is you said the truth. Joe Biden said twice in the debate last week that he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. That was tax cuts that gave the average working family $2,000 in a tax break every single year. Senator,
that is absolutely not true.
Is he only going to repeal part of the Trump tax cuts?
If you don't mind letting me finish, we can then have a conversation. Okay?
Please.
Okay. Joe Biden will not raise taxes on anyone who makes less than $400,000 a year. He has been very clear about that. Joe Biden will not end fracking. He has been very clear about that. Joe Biden is the one who, during the Great Recession, was responsible for the Recovery Act that brought America back. And now the Trump-Pence administration wants to take credit when they rode the coattails of Joe Biden's success for the economy that they had at the beginning of their term. Of course, now the economy is a complete disaster. But Joe Biden, on the one hand, did that. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who has reigned over a recession that is being compared to the Great Depression. On the one hand, you have Joe Biden, who was responsible with President Barack Obama for the Affordable Care Act, which brought health care to over 20 million Americans and protected people with pre-existing conditions. And what it also did is it saved those families who otherwise were going bankrupt because of hospital bills they could not afford. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who's in court right now, trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which means that you will lose protections if you have pre-existing conditions. And this is very important, Susan.
Yes.
And it's
we need to give Vice President.
I'd just like to, he interrupted me, and I'd like to just finish, please. If you have a pre-existing condition, heart disease, diabetes, breast cancer, they're coming for you. If you love someone who has a pre-existing condition, they're coming for you. If you are under the age of 26 on your parents' coverage, they're coming for you.
Senator Harris, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me give you a chance to respond.
Well, I hope we have a chance to talk about health care because Obamacare was a disaster. The American people remember it well. And President Trump and I have a plan to improve health care and to protect pre-existing conditions for every American. But look, Senator Harris, you're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. You yourself said on multiple occasions when you were running for president that you would ban fracking. Joe Biden looked at a supporter in the eye and pointed and said, I guarantee that we will abolish fossil fuels. They have a $2 trillion version of the Green New Deal, Susan, that your newspaper, USA Today, said really wasn't that very different from the original Green New Deal. More taxes, more regulation, banning fracking, abolishing fossil fuel, crushing American energy, and economic surrender to China is a prescription for economic decline. President Trump and I will keep America growing. The V-shaped recovery that's underway right now will continue with 4 more years of President Donald Trump.
Thank you very, very much, Vice President Pence. Once again, you've provided the perfect segue to a new topic, which is climate change. And Vice President Pence, I'd like to pose the first question to you. This year, we've seen record-setting hurricanes in the South. Another one, Hurricane Delta, is now threatening the Gulf. And we have seen record-setting wildfires in the West. Do you believe, as the scientific community has concluded, that man-made climate change has made wildfires bigger, hotter, and more deadly, and have made hurricanes wetter, slower, and more damaging? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Thank you, Susan. Well, first, I'm very proud of our record on the environment and on conservation. According to all of the best estimates, our air and land are cleaner than any time ever recorded. And our water is among the cleanest in the world. And just a little while ago, the president signed the Outdoors Act. It's the largest investment in our public lands and public parks in 100 years. So President Trump has made a commitment to conservation and to the environment. Now, with regard to climate change, the climate is changing. But the issue is, what's the cause and what do we do about it? And President Trump has made it clear that we're going to continue to listen to the science. Now, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would put us back in the Paris Climate Accord. They'd impose the Green New Deal, which would crush American energy, would increase the energy costs of American families in their homes, and literally would crush American jobs. And President Trump and I believe that the progress that we have made in a cleaner environment has been happening precisely because we have a strong free market economy. You know, what's remarkable is the United States has reduced CO2 more than the countries that are still in the Paris Climate Accord, but we've done it through innovation, and we've done it through natural gas and fracking, which, Senator, the American people can go look at the record. I know Joe Biden says otherwise now, as you do, but the both of you repeatedly committed to abolishing fossil fuel and banning of fracking. And so by creating the kind of American innovation, we're actually steering toward a stronger and better environment. With regard to wildfires, President Trump and I believe that forest management has to be front and center, and even Governor Gavin Newsom from your state has agreed we've got to work on forest management. And with regard to hurricanes, the National Oceanic Administration tells us that actually as difficult as they are,
Thank you, Vice President.
there are no more hurricanes today than there were 100 years ago.
Thank you.
But many of the climate alarmists use
President
hurricanes and wildfires to try and sell the bill of goods of a Green New Deal. And President Trump and I are going to always put American jobs and American workers first.
Senator Harris, as the Vice President mentioned, you co-sponsored the Green New Deal in Congress. But Vice President Biden said in last week's debate that he does not support the Green New Deal. But if you look at the Biden-Harris campaign website, it describes the Green New Deal as a crucial framework. What exactly would be the stance of a Biden-Harris administration toward the Green New Deal? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Sure. So first of all, I will repeat, and the American people know, that Joe Biden will not ban fracking. That is a fact. That is a fact. I will repeat that Joe Biden has been very clear that he thinks about growing jobs, which is why he will not increase taxes for anyone who makes less than $400,000 a year. Joe Biden's economic plan, Moody's, which is a reputable Wall Street firm, has said will create 7 million more jobs than Donald Trump's. And part of those jobs that will be created by Joe Biden are going to be about clean energy and renewable energy. Because you see, Joe understands that the west coast of our country is burning, including my home state of California. Joe sees what is happening on the Gulf states, which are being battered by storms. Joe has seen and talked with the farmers in Iowa, whose entire crops have been destroyed because of floods. And so Joe believes, again, in science. I'll tell you something, Susan. I served, when I first got to the Senate, on the committee that's responsible for the environment. Do you know this administration took the word science off the website and then took the phrase climate change off the website? We have seen a pattern with this administration, which is they don't believe in science. And Joe's plan is about saying we're going to deal with it, but we're also going to create jobs. Donald Trump, when asked about the wildfires in California, and the question was, the science is telling us this, you know what Donald Trump said? Science doesn't know. So let's talk about who is prepared to lead our country over the course of the next 4 years on what is an existential threat to us as human beings. Joe is about saying we're going to invest that in renewable energy. It's going to be about the creation of millions of jobs. We will achieve net zero emissions by 2050, carbon neutral by 2035. Joe has a plan. This has been a lot of talk from the Trump administration, and really it has been to go backward instead of forward. We will also re-enter the climate agreement with pride.
Senator Harris just said that climate change is an existential threat. Vice President Pence, do you believe that climate change poses an existential threat?
As I said, Susan, the climate is changing. We'll follow the science. But once again, Senator Harris is denying the fact that they're going to raise taxes on every American. Joe Biden said twice in the debate last week that on day one he was going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. Those tax cuts delivered $2,000 in tax relief to the average family of four across America. And with regard to banning fracking, I just recommend that people look at the record. You yourself said repeatedly that you would ban fracking. You were the first Senate co-sponsor of the Green New Deal. And while Joe Biden denied the Green New Deal, Susan, thank you for pointing out the Green New Deal is on their campaign website. And as USA Today said, it's essentially the same plan as you co-sponsored with AOC when she submitted it in the Senate. And you just heard the senator say that she's going to resubmit America to the Paris Climate Accord. Look, the American people have always cherished our environment. We'll continue to cherish it. We've made great progress reducing CO2 emissions through American innovation and the development of natural gas through fracking. We don't need a massive $2 trillion Green New Deal that would impose all new mandates on American businesses and American families.
Thank you.
Joe Biden wants us to retrofit 4 million American business buildings. It makes no sense. It will cost jobs. President Trump is going to put America first. He's going to put jobs first, and we're going to take care of our environment and follow the science.
But on the issue of jobs, let's talk about that. The vice president earlier referred to, as part of what he thinks is an accomplishment, the president's trade war with China. You lost that trade war. You lost it. What ended up happening is, because of a so-called trade war with China, America lost 300,000 manufacturing jobs. Farmers have experienced bankruptcy because of it. We are in a manufacturing recession because of it. And when we look at where this administration has been, there are estimates that by the end of the term of this administration, they will have lost more jobs than almost any other presidential administration. And the American people know what I'm talking about. You know, I think about 20-year-olds. You know, we have a 20-year-old, 20-something-year-old who are coming out of high school and college right now, and you're wondering, is there going to be a job there for me? We're looking at people who are trying to figure out how they're going to pay rent by the end of the month. Almost half of American renters are worried about whether they're going to be able to pay rent by the end of the month. This is where the economy is in America right now, and it is because of the catastrophe and the failure of leadership of this administration.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Vice President Pence, let me give you just 15 seconds to respond, because then I want to move on to...
Well, I'd love to respond. Look, lost the trade war with China. Joe Biden never fought it. Joe Biden has been a cheerleader for communist China through over the last several decades. And again, Senator Harris, you're entitled to your opinion. You're not entitled to your own facts. When Joe Biden was vice president, we lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs. And President Obama said they were never coming back. He said we needed a magic wand to bring them back. In our first 3 years after we cut taxes, rolled back regulation, unleashed American energy, this administration saw 500,000 manufacturing jobs created. And that's exactly the kind of growth we're going to continue to see as we bring our nation through this pandemic. The Green New Deal, your massive new mandates, your Paris Climate Accord, it's going to kill jobs this time, just like it killed jobs.
I just need to respond very briefly.
15 seconds.
Thank you. Thank you. Joe Biden is responsible for saving America's auto industry, and you voted against it. So let's set the record straight. Thank you.
I'd like to talk about China. We have, as our next topic, we have no more complicated or consequential foreign relationship than the one with China. It is a huge market for American agricultural goods. It's a potential partner in dealing with climate change in North Korea. And in a video tonight, President Trump again blamed it for the coronavirus, saying China will pay. Vice President Pence, how would you describe our fundamental relationship with China? Competitors, adversaries, enemies? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Susan. Well, before I leave that, let me speak to voting records if I can. You know, everybody knows that NAFTA cost literally thousands of American factories to close. We saw automotive jobs go south of the border. President Trump fought to renegotiate NAFTA. And the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement is now the law of the land. American people deserve to know Senator Kamala Harris was one of only 10 members of the Senate to vote against the USMCA. It was a huge win for American auto workers. It was a huge win for American farmers, especially dairy in the upper Midwest. But Senator, you said it didn't go far enough on climate change, that you put your radical environmental agenda ahead of American auto workers and ahead of American jobs. The American people deserve to know that. It's probably why Newsweek magazine said that Kamala Harris was the most liberal member of the United States Senate in 2019, more liberal than Bernie Sanders, more liberal than any of the others in the United States Senate. So now with regard to China, look, Susan, first and foremost, China is to blame for the coronavirus. And President Trump is not happy about it. He's made that very clear, made it clear again today. Now, China and the World Health Organization did not play straight with the American people. They did not let our personnel into China to get information on the coronavirus until the middle of February. Fortunately, President Trump, in dealing with China from the outset of this administration, standing up to China that had been taking advantage of America for decades in the wake of Joe Biden's cheerleading for China, President Trump made that decision before the end of January to suspend all travel from China. And again, the American people deserve to know Joe Biden opposed President Trump's decision to suspend all travel from China. He said it was hysterical. He said it was xenophobic. But President Trump has stood up to China. We're going to continue to stand strong.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
We want to improve the relationship, but we're going to level the playing field, and we're going to hold China accountable for what they did to America with the coronavirus.
Thank you. Senator Harris, let me ask you the same question that I asked the Vice President. How would you describe our fundamental relationship with China? Are we competitors, adversaries, enemies? You'll have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Susan, the Trump administration's perspective and approach to China has resulted in the loss of American lives, American jobs, and America's standing. There's a weird obsession that President Trump has had with getting rid of whatever accomplishment was achieved by President Obama and Vice President Biden. For example, they created within the White House an office that basically was responsible for monitoring pandemics. They got rid of it.
Not true.
There was a team of disease experts that President Obama and Vice President Biden dispatched to China to monitor what is now predictable and what might happen. They pulled them out. We now are looking at 210,000 Americans who have lost their lives. Let's look at the job situation. We mentioned before the trade deal, the trade war, they wanted to call it, with China. It resulted in the loss of over 300 manufacturing jobs and a manufacturing recession, and the American consumer paying thousands of dollars more for goods because of that failed war that they called it. Then let's talk about standing. Pew, a reputable research firm, has done an analysis that shows that leaders of all of our formerly allied countries have now decided that they hold in greater esteem and respect Xi Jinping, the head of the Chinese Communist Party, than they do Donald Trump, the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief of the United States. This is where we are today because of a failure of leadership by this administration.
Senator Harris, we've seen changes in the role of the United States in terms of global leadership over the past 4 years. And of course, times do change. What's your definition? We've seen strains with China, of course, as the Vice President mentioned. We've seen strains with our traditional allies in NATO and elsewhere. What is your definition of the role of American leadership in 2020?
So, Joe I love talking with Joe about a lot of these issues. And, Joe, I think he said it quite well. He says, foreign policy might sound complicated, but really it's relationships. So just think about it as relationships. And so we know this in our personal and professional relationships. You got to keep your word to your friends. You got to be loyal to your friends. People who've stood with you, got to stand with them. You got to know who your adversaries are and keep them in check. But what we have seen with Donald Trump is that he has betrayed our friends and embraced dictators around the world. Let's take, for example, Russia. So Russia, I serve on the Intelligence Committee of the United States Senate. America's intelligence community told us Russia interfered in the election of the President of the United States in 2016 and is playing in 2020. Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, said the same. But Donald Trump, the Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America, prefers to take the word of Vladimir Putin over the word of the American intelligence community. You look at our friends at NATO. He's walked away from agreements. You can look at the Iran nuclear deal, which now has put us in a position where we are less safe because they are building up what might end up being a significant nuclear arsenal. We were in that deal, guys. We were in the Iran nuclear deal with friends, with allies around the country. And because of Donald Trump's unilateral approach to foreign policy, coupled with his isolationism, he pulled us out and has made America less safe. So, Susan, it's about relationships. And the thing that has always been part of the strength of our nation, in addition to our great military, has been that we keep our word. But Donald Trump doesn't understand that because he doesn't understand what it means to be honest.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Vice President, did somebody give you a chance to respond?
Well, thank you. Well, President Trump kept his word when we moved the American embassy to Jerusalem, the capital of the state of Israel. When Joe Biden was vice president, they promised to do that, and they never did. We stood strong with our allies, but we've been demanding. NATO is now contributing more to our common defense than ever before, thanks to President Trump's leadership. We've strengthened our alliances across the Asia-Pacific, and we've stood strong against those who would do us harm. You know, when President Trump came into office, ISIS had captured an area of the Middle East the size of Pennsylvania. President Trump unleashed the American military, and our armed forces destroyed the ISIS caliphate and took down their leader, al-Baghdadi, without one American casualty. Al-Baghdadi was responsible for the death of thousands. But notably, America's hearts today are with the family of Kayla Mueller, her parents of which are here with us tonight in Salt Lake City. Today, two of the ISIS killers responsible for Kayla Mueller's murder were brought to justice in the United States. Jihadi John was killed on the battlefield along with the other beetle. The reality is that when Joe Biden was vice president, we had an opportunity to save Kayla Mueller. It breaks my heart to reflect on it, but the military came into the Oval Office, presented a plan. They said they knew where Kayla was. Baghdadi had held her for 18 months, abused her mercilessly before they killed her. But when Joe Biden was vice president, they hesitated for a month. And when armed forces finally went in, it was clear she'd been moved 2 days earlier. And her family says with a heart that broke the heart of every American that if President Donald Trump had been president, they believe Kayla would be alive today.
Thank you, Vice President.
But we destroyed the ISIS caliphate. And you talk about re-entering the Iran nuclear deal. And the last administration transferred $1.8 billion to the leading state sponsor of terrorism. President Donald Trump got us out of the deal.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
And when Qasem Soleimani was traveling to Baghdad to harm to Americans, President Donald Trump took
Thank you, Vice
out.
President Pence.
And America is safer. Our allies are safer. And the American people know President Donald Trump will never
Thank you, Vice President
take action.
I would like to give Senator Harris a chance to respond, but not at such great length because, of course, there are other topics we want to talk about.
But I would like equal time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
First of all, to the Mueller family, I know about your daughter's case, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. What happened to her is awful, and it should have never happened. And I know Joe feels the same way. And I know that President Obama feels the same way. But you mentioned Soleimani. Let's start there. So after the strike on Soleimani, there was a counter strike on our troops in Iraq. And they suffered serious brain injuries. And do you know what Donald Trump dismissed them as? Headaches. And this is about a pattern of Donald Trump's, where he has referred to our men who are serving in our military as suckers and losers. Donald Trump, who went to Arlington Cemetery and stood above the graves of our fallen heroes and said, what's in it for them? Because, of course, he only thinks about what's in it for him. Let's take what he said about John McCain, a great American hero. And Donald Trump says, He doesn't deserve to be called a hero because he was a prisoner of war. And this is very important when you want to talk about who is the current commander-in-chief and what they care about and what they don't care about. Public reporting that Russia had bounties on the heads of American soldiers. And you know what a bounty is? It's somebody puts a price on your head and they will pay it if you are killed. And Donald Trump had talked at least 6 times to Vladimir Putin and never brought up the subject. Joe Biden would never do that. Joe Biden would, but Joe Biden would hold Russia to account for any threat to our nation's security or to our troops who are sacrificing their lives for the sake of our democracy and our safety.
Thank you, Senator Harris. This is such an important issue, but we have other important issues as well. And Susan, I want to make sure we have a chance.
I really have
to talk
to respond to that.
Look,
she has
15 seconds because
I got to have more than that. Look,
I'm sorry, Vice President,
look,
you've had more time than she's had
so
far.
The slanders against President Donald Trump regarding men and women of our armed forces are absurd.
I'm sorry, Vice President.
My son is a captain in the United States Marine Corps. My son-in-law is deployed in the United States Navy. I can assure all of you, with sons and daughters serving in our military, President Donald Trump not only respects but reveres all of those who serve in our armed forces, and any suggestion otherwise is ridiculous.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
The American people deserve to know.
Vice President Pence, I did not create the rules for tonight.
Joe Biden,
your campaigns agreed to the rules for tonight's debate with the Commission on Presidential Debates. I'm here to enforce them, which involves moving from one topic to another, giving roughly equal time to both of you, which is what I'm trying very hard to do. So I want to go ahead and move to the next topic, which is an important one, as the last topic was, and that is the Supreme Court. On Monday, the Senate Judiciary Committee is scheduled to open hearings on Amy Coney Barrett's nomination to the Supreme Court. Senator Harris, you'll be there as a member of the committee. Her confirmation would cement the court's conservative majority and make it likely open to more abortion restrictions, even to overturning the landmark Roe v. Wade ruling. Access to abortion would then be up to the states. Vice President Pence, you're the former governor of Indiana. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, what would you want Indiana to do? Would you want your home state to ban all abortions? You have 2 minutes, uninterrupted.
Well, thank you for the question, but I'll use a little bit of my time to respond to that very important issue before. The American people deserve to know Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian general, was responsible for the death of hundreds of American service members. When the opportunity came, we saw him headed to Baghdad to kill more Americans. President Trump didn't hesitate, and Qasem Soleimani is gone. But you deserve to know that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris actually criticized the decision to take out Qasem Soleimani. It's really inexplicable, but with regard to Joe Biden, it's explainable, because history records that Joe Biden actually opposed the raid against Osama bin Laden. It's absolutely essential that we have a commander-in-chief who will not hesitate to act to protect American lives and to protect American service members, and that's what you have in President Donald Trump. Now, with regard to the Supreme Court of the United States, let me say President Trump and I could not be more enthusiastic about the opportunity to see Judge Amy Coney Barrett become Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Now, she's a brilliant woman, and she will bring a lifetime of experience and a sizable American family to the Supreme Court of the United States. And our hope is, in the hearing next week, unlike Justice Kavanaugh received with treatment from you and others, we hope she gets a fair hearing. And we particularly hope that we don't see the kind of attacks on her Christian faith that we saw before. I mean, the Democrat chairman of the Judiciary Committee before, when Judge Barrett was being confirmed for the Court of Appeals, expressed concern that the dogma of her faith lived loudly in her. Dick Durbin of Illinois said that it was a concern. Senator, I know one of our judicial nominees you actually attacked because they were a member of the Catholic Knights of Columbus, just because the Knights of Columbus holds pro-life views. And
thank you, Vice President.
So
your
my
time
hope is that when the hearing takes place, that
thank you, Vice President Pence.
That Judge Amy Coney Barrett will be respected.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
Voted and confirmed to the Supreme Court of the United States.
Senator Harris, you're the senator from and former Attorney General of California. So let me ask you a parallel question to the one I posed to the Vice President. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, what would you want California to do? Would you want your home state to enact no restrictions on access to abortion? And you have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Thank you, Susan. First of all, Joe Biden and I are both people of faith, and it's insulting to suggest that we would knock anyone for their faith. And in fact, Joe, if elected, will be only the second practicing Catholic as president of the United States. On the issue of this nomination, Joe and I are very clear, as are the majority of the American people. We are 27 days before the decision about who will be the next president of the United States. And, before, when this conversation has come up, it's been about election year or election time. We're literally in an election. Over 4 million people have voted. People are in the process of voting right now. And so Joe has been very clear, as the American people are. Let the American people fill that seat in the White House, and then we'll fill that seat on the United States Supreme Court. And to your point, Susan, the issues before us couldn't be more serious. There's the issue of choice, and I will always fight for a woman's right to make a decision about her own body. It should be her decision and not that of Donald Trump and the Vice President, Michael Pence. But let's also look at what else is before the court. It's the Affordable Care Act. Like, literally in the midst of a public health pandemic, when over 210,000 people have died and 7 million people probably have what will be in the future considered a pre-existing condition because you contracted the virus. Donald Trump is in court right now trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. And I said it before, and it bears repeating. This means that there will be no more protections if they win for people with pre-existing conditions. This means that over 20 million people will lose your coverage. It means that if you're under the age of 26, you can't stay on your parents' coverage anymore. And here's the thing. The contrast couldn't be more clear. They're trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. Joe Biden is saying, let's expand coverage. Let's give you a choice of a public option or private coverage. Let's bring down premiums. Let's lower Medicare eligibility to 60.
Thank you, Senator.
That's true leadership.
You mentioned earlier, Vice President Pence, that the president was committed to maintaining protections for people with pre-existing conditions. But you do have this court case that you are supporting, your administration supporting, that would strike down the Affordable Care Act. The president says, President Trump says that he's going to protect people with pre-existing conditions, but he has not explained how he would do that. And that was one of the toughest nuts to crack when they were passing the Affordable Care Act. So tell us specifically, how would your administration protect Americans with pre-existing conditions to have access to affordable insurance if the Affordable Care Act is struck down?
Well, thank you, Susan. But let me just say, addressing your very first question, I couldn't be more proud to serve as vice president to a president who stands without apology for the sanctity of human life. I'm pro-life. I don't apologize for it. And this is another one of those cases where there's such a dramatic contrast. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris support taxpayer funding of abortion all the way up to the moment of birth. Late-term abortion. They want to increase funding to Planned Parenthood of America. Now, for our part, I would never presume how Judge Amy Coney Barrett would rule on the Supreme Court of the United States, but we'll continue to stand strong for the right to life. When you speak about the Supreme Court, though, I think the American people really deserve an answer, Senator Harris. Are you and Joe Biden going to pack the court if Judge Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed? I mean, there have been 29 vacancies on the Supreme Court during presidential election years, from George Washington to Barack Obama. Presidents have nominated in all 29 cases. But your party is actually openly advocating adding seats to the Supreme Court, which has had 9 seats for 150 years, if you don't get your way. This is a classic case of if you can't win by the rules, you're going to change the rules. Now, you've refused to answer the question. Joe Biden has refused to answer the question. So I think the American people would really like to know, if Judge Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed at the Supreme Court of the United States, are you and Joe Biden, if somehow you win this election, going to pack the Supreme Court to get your way?
I'm so glad we went through a little history lesson. Let's do that a little more. In 1864...
I'd like you to answer the question.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Okay. In 1864, one of the, I think, political heroes, certainly the president, I assume if you also, Mr. Vice President, is Abraham Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
Abraham Lincoln was up for re-election. And it was 27 days before the election. And a seat became open on the United States Supreme Court. Abraham Lincoln's party was in charge not only of the White House, but the Senate. But Honest Abe said it's not the right thing to do. The American people deserve to make the decision about who will be the next president of the United States. And then that person can select who will serve for a lifetime on the highest court of our land. And so Joe and I are very clear. The American people are voting right now. And it should be their decision about who will serve on this most important body for a lifetime.
Thank you, Senator Harris.
People, Susan, are voting right now. They'd like to know if you and Joe Biden are going to pack the Supreme Court if you don't get your way in this nomination.
Let's talk about packing.
You once again gave a non-answer. Joe Biden gave a non-answer.
Trying to answer you now.
American people deserve a straight answer. And if you haven't figured it out yet, the straight answer is they are going to pack the Supreme Court if they somehow win this election. Men and women, I got to tell you, people across this country, if you cherish our Supreme Court, if you cherish the separation of powers, you need to reject the Biden-Harris ticket. Come November the 3rd, re-elect President Donald Trump, and we'll stand by that separation of powers in a 9-seat Supreme Court.
Yeah, let's talk about packing the court then. Let's talk about the fact. Yeah, I'm about to. So the Trump-Pence administration has been, because I sit on the Senate Judiciary Committee, Susan, as you mentioned, and I've witnessed the appointments for lifetime appointments to the federal courts, district courts, courts of appeal. People who are purely ideological, people who have been reviewed by legal professional organizations and found to have been not competent, are substandard. And do you know that of the 50 people who President Trump appointed to the Court of Appeals for lifetime appointments, not one is Black? This is what they've been doing. You want to talk about packing a court? Let's have that discussion.
All right, thank you, Senator. Let's go on and talk about the issue of racial justice.
I just want the record to reflect she never answered the question. So I think maybe in the next debate, Joe Biden will answer the question, but I think the American people know the answer.
Thank you, Vice President. In March, Breonna Taylor, a 26-year-old emergency room technician in Louisville, was shot and killed after police officers executing a search warrant in a narcotics investigation broke into her apartment. The police said they identified themselves. Taylor's boyfriend said he didn't hear them do that. He used a gun registered to him to fire a shot, which wounded an officer. The officers then fired more than 20 rounds into the apartment. They say they were acting in self-defense. None of them have been indicted in connection with her death. Senator Harris, in the case of Breonna Taylor, was justice done? You have 2 minutes.
I don't believe so. And I've talked with Breonna's mother, Tamika Palmer, and her family deserves justice. She was a beautiful young woman. She had as her life goal to become a nurse, and she wanted to become an EMT to first learn what's going on out on the street so she could then become a nurse and save lives. And her life was taken unjustifiably and tragically and violently. And it brings me to, the 8 minutes and 46 seconds that America witnessed, during which an American man was tortured and killed under the knee of an armed, uniformed police officer. And people around our country of every race, of every age, of every gender, perfect strangers to each other, marched shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm, fighting for us to finally achieve that ideal of equal justice under law. And I was a part of those peaceful protests. And I believe strongly that, first of all, we are never going to condone violence, but we always must fight for the values that we hold dear, including the fight to achieve our ideals. And that's why Joe Biden and I have said on this subject, look, and I'm a former career prosecutor. I know what I'm talking about. Bad cops are bad for good cops. We need reform of our policing in America and our criminal justice system, which is why Joe and I will immediately ban chokeholds and carotid holds. George Floyd would be alive today if we did that. We will require a national registry for police officers who break the law. We will, on the issue of criminal justice reform, get rid of private prisons and cash bail, and we will decriminalize marijuana. And we will expunge the records of those who have been convicted of marijuana. This is the time for leadership on a tragic, tragic issue of unarmed Black people in America.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Vice President Pence, let me pose the same question to you. In the case of Breonna Taylor, was justice done? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Well, our heart breaks for the loss of any innocent American life. And the family of Breonna Taylor has our sympathies. But I trust our justice system, a grand jury that refused the evidence. And it really is remarkable that as a former prosecutor, you would assume that an impaneled grand jury looking at all the evidence got it wrong. But you're entitled to your opinion, Senator. I think, and with regard to George Floyd, there's no excuse for what happened to George Floyd. Justice will be served. But there's also no excuse for the rioting and looting that followed. I mean, it really is astonishing. Flora Westbrook is with us here tonight in Salt Lake City. Just a few weeks ago, I stood at what used to be her salon. Was burned to the ground by rioters and looters. And Flora is still trying to put her life back together. And I must tell you, this presumption that you hear consistently from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, that America is systemically racist, and that, as Joe Biden said, that he believes that law enforcement has an implicit bias against minorities, is a great insult to the men and women who serve in law enforcement. And I want everyone to know who puts on the uniform of law enforcement every day that President Trump and I stand with you. And it is remarkable that when Senator Tim Scott tried to pass a police reform bill, brought together a group of Republicans and Democrats, Senator Harris, you got up and walked out of the room. And then you filibustered Senator Tim Scott's bill on the Senate floor that would have provided new accountability, new resources. But we don't have to choose between supporting law enforcement, improving public safety, and supporting our African American neighbors and all of our minorities. Under President Trump's leadership, we'll always stand with law enforcement, and we'll do what we say we want to do, is improve the lives of African Americans. Record unemployment, record investments in education, and we'll fight for school choice for all of our Americans.
Thank you, Vice President. I'd like to respond.
Senator Harris.
I will not sit here and be lectured by the Vice President on what it means to enforce the laws of our country. I am the only one on this stage who was personally prosecuted, everything from child sexual assault to homicide. I'm the only one on this stage who has prosecuted the big banks for taking advantage of America's homeowners. I'm the only one on this stage who prosecuted for-profit colleges for taking advantage of our veterans. Joe and I are, I think, particularly proud of the coalition that we've built around our campaign. We probably have one of the broadest coalitions of folks that you've ever seen in a presidential race. Of course, we have the support of Democrats, but also independents and Republicans. In fact, 7 members of President George W. Bush's cabinet are supporting our ticket. We have the support of Colin Powell, Cindy McCain, John Kasich, over 500 generals, retired generals, and former national security experts and advisors are supporting our campaign. And I believe they are doing that because they know that Joe Biden has a deep, deep-seated commitment to fight for our democracy and to fight for the integrity of our democracy and to bring integrity back to the White House. And so we believe in the American people. We believe in our democracy. And here's what I'd like to say to everybody. Vote. Please vote. Vote early. Come up with a plan to vote. Go to iwillvote.com. You can also go to joebiden.com. We have it within our power in these next 27 days to make the decision about what will be the course of our country for the next 4 years. And it is within our power. And if we use our vote and we use our voice, we will win. And we will not let anyone subvert our democracy with what Donald Trump has been doing, as he did on the debate stage last week, when again in front of 70 million people, he openly attempted to suppress the vote. Joe Biden, on the other hand, on that same debate stage, because clearly Donald Trump doesn't think he can run on a record because it's a failed record, Joe Biden on that stage said, hey, just please vote. So I'll repeat what Joe said. Please vote.
Thank you, Senator. Vice President Pence, President Trump has several times refused to commit himself to a peaceful transfer of power after the election. If Vice President Biden is declared the winner and President Trump refuses to accept a peaceful transfer of power, what would be your role and responsibility as Vice President? What would you personally do? You have 2 minutes.
Well, Susan, first and foremost, I think we're going to win this election. Because while Joe Biden and Kamala Harris rattle off a long litany of the establishment in Washington, D.C., an establishment that Joe Biden's been a part of for 47 years, President Donald Trump has launched a movement of everyday Americans from every walk of life. And I have every confidence that those same Americans that delivered that historic victory in 2016, they see this president's record where we rebuild our military. We revived our economy through tax cuts and rolling back regulation, fighting for fair trade, unleashing American energy. We appointed conservatives to our federal courts at every level. And we stood with the men and women of law enforcement every single day. And I think that movement of Americans has only grown stronger in the last 4 years. When you talk about accepting the outcome of the election, I must tell you, Senator, your party has spent the last 3.5 years trying to overturn the results of the last election. It's amazing. When Joe Biden was vice president of the United States, the FBI actually spied on President Trump and my campaign. I mean, there were documents released this week that the CIA actually made a referral to the FBI documenting that those allegations were coming from the Hillary Clinton campaign. And of course, we've all seen the avalanche, what you put the country through for the better part of 3 years until it was found that there was no obstruction, no collusion, case closed. And then Senator Harris, you and your colleagues in the Congress tried to impeach the President of the United States over a phone call. And now Hillary Clinton has actually said to Joe Biden that in her words, under no circumstances should he concede the election. So let me just say, I think we're going to win this election. President Trump and I are fighting every day in courthouses to prevent Joe Biden and Kamala Harris from changing the rules and creating this universal mail-in voting that will create a massive opportunity for voter fraud. And we have a free and fair election. We know we're going to have confidence in it. And I believe in all my heart that President Donald Trump is going to be reelected for 4 more years.
You know, I've written all the questions that I've asked tonight, but for the final question of the debate, I'd like to read a question that someone else wrote. The Utah Debate Commission asked students in the state to write essays about what they would like to ask you. And I want to close tonight's debate with the question posed by Brecklin Brown, She's an 8th grader at Springville Junior High in Springville, Utah. And here's what she wrote, quote, "When I watch the news, all I see is arguing between Democrats and Republicans. When I watch the news, all I see is citizen fighting against citizen. When I watch the news, all I see are 2 candidates from opposing parties trying to tear each other down. If our leaders can't get along, how are the citizens supposed to get along?" And then she added, "Your examples could make all the difference to bring us together," end quote. So to each of you in turn, I'd like you to take 1 minute and respond to Brecklin. Vice President Pence, you have 1 minute.
Brecklin, it's a wonderful question. And let me just commend you for taking an interest in public life. I started following the news when I was very young. And in America, we believe in a free and open exchange of debate. And we celebrate that. And it's how we've created literally the freest and most prosperous nation in the history of the world. I would tell you that don't assume that what you're seeing on your local news networks is synonymous with the American people. You know, I look at the relationship between Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the late justice who we just lost from the Supreme Court, and the late Justice Antonin Scalia. They were on polar opposites on the Supreme Court of the United States, one very liberal, one very conservative. But what's been learned since her passing was the 2 of them and their families were the very closest of friends. I mean, here in America, we can disagree. We can debate vigorously, as Senator Harris and I have on this stage tonight. But when the debate is over, we come together as Americans. And that's what people do in big cities and small towns all across this country. So I just want to encourage you, Brecklin. I want to tell you that we're going to work every day to have government as good as our people. And the American people, each and every day, love a good debate. We love a good argument, but we always come together and are always there for one another.
Thank you.
In times of need. And we've especially learned that through the difficulties of this year.
Senator Harris, what would you say to Brecklin?
First of all, I love hearing from our young leaders. And when I hear her words, when I hear your words, Brecklin, I know our future is bright because it is that perspective on who we are and who we should be. That is a sign of leadership and is something we should all aspire to be. And that, that brings me to Joe. Joe Biden, one of the reasons that Joe decided to run for president is after Charlottesville, which we talked about earlier. It so troubled him and upset him, like it did all of us, that there was that kind of hate and division. What propelled Joe to run for president was to see that over the course of the last 4 years, what Brecklin described has been happening. Joe has a long-standing reputation of working across the aisle and working in a bipartisan way. And that's what he's going to do as president. Joe Biden has a history of lifting people up and fighting for their dignity. I mean, you have to know Joe's story to know that Joe has known pain, he has known suffering, and he has known love. And so, Brecklin, when you think about the future, I do believe the future is bright. And it will be because of your leadership, and it will be because we fight for each person's voice through their vote, and we get engaged in this election because you have the ability through your work and through eventually your vote to determine the future of our country and what its leadership looks like.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Thank you, Vice President Pence. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. We want to thank also the University of Utah for its hospitality, and most of all, our thanks to all the Americans who watched this debate tonight. Again, our best wishes for a quick recovery to President Trump, the First Lady, and everyone who is battling COVID-19. The second presidential debate is next week on October 15th, a town hall style debate in Miami. We hope you'll join us then. Good evening.
And that is the end of the vice presidential debate right there. What a difference a week makes. Two very different personalities on the stage tonight. They showed their personalities throughout the debate, both by what they said and didn't say, how they reacted when their opponent was talking.
Both candidates likely more effective in attacking their opponents than defending the records of their principals. Some informed questions from the moderator, Susan Page, but the candidates often ignored her when they were answering the question, didn't answer those questions at all. Kamala Harris scoring on the coronavirus, healthcare, and Russia. Mike Pence trying to steer things back to the economy and taxes. And David Muir, you're here. You said at the beginning, coronavirus front and center. It was.
Yeah, it is the backdrop of what we're going through in this country and the prism through which we're looking at all of these issues. And as you said, George, for the millions of Americans who wondered what last week was, where was the debate? They got a debate tonight. There was a stark contrast, I should say, on taxes, climate change, Supreme Court. But as you mentioned, pandemic right out of the gate. And you heard Senator Harris say the American people have witnessed what is the greatest failure of any presidential administration in the history of our country. That was her first line out of the gate tonight. She talked about the 210,000 lives. She talked about the audio of the president acknowledging that he knew that this was lethal and airborne, which we have been reporting on just in recent days with CDC guidance. And why did the American people not hear this from the Trump-Pence administration far earlier than the March date that she cited? You heard what the vice president said in response, and we knew this would happen going into this debate. He has defended President Trump. He's been very effective in his role as vice president in that way. He said President Trump put the health of America first. He talked about suspending travel from China, had mentioned what Joe Biden has said about that in the past, and he pivoted to the future on vaccines. I mean, the question then went back to Senator Harris, will you take the vaccine if there is one by the end of the year? She said, if Dr. Fauci and the other doctors say, take it, I'll be first in line. She said, if Donald Trump tells me to take that vaccine, I will not take it.
Lindsay Davies said at the start, which Kamala Harris will we get, the prosecutor or not? Did we get it?
Not as much as I thought. I mean, I think it was part prosecutor, part fact check, part presidential interview. At the same time, she allowed Vice President Pence to be rather evasive. And
I'm exhausted.
I got my drink.
I don't have. If I take a drink, I'm going to sleep. I can tell you that. Hey.
Jane, hello, my love. How are you?
Rashida? I'm good. Exhausted, like Rashida said. I don't.
What have you most exhausted? Because I will say, I was paying attention to the comments. I was really following this whole thing. Hey, come on, baby, you can say hi to. Baby was watching upstairs. Look at Miss Rashida. Hey, Miss Jane.
You're so cute. Hi, y'all. You're so cute.
When she kept saying, I'm speaking, and she kept giving him that look like he hasn't done the dishes all week. Like, I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yo, that's the smile and gather. That's the I'm a smile and I'm a snatch your wig. That's what smile and gather the people.
That's real. It is so funny. I think as like women, we have our own language and our own way of communicating. I know what she was saying to me. She was like, "Are we kidding?"
Yo, I know her stepkids be like, ooh. When she puts that look on them, I know they be scared. I was scared.
That's real.
That's funny.
You agree? I'm wondering how people felt about.
Uh-oh. From this, let me see if I can text her.
I was texting with a friend who is an American man saying, do you think she's...
And I'm like, can we give black women the same chance that we give white men? No one knows what Pence does. No one's clueless on what he does, but they coming for her like that. Do you think that this helped people see her differently?
Yes.
Say that one more time.
Do you think that her participating in this debate, the way she showed up, do you think that people see her differently than they did when she first announced that she was running and they all came for her?
I don't know. What you think?
I think, I think people are gonna see that she can definitely hold her own, and she's not afraid to like speak the facts. So what do you think, Rashida? Why are you saying like you don't know?
Oh, because I think that there are people in this world that just don't rock with Black women, are going to always apply these stereotypes to Black women, and they're not going to shift or fall off that at all. So I don't really worry about it too much. What I will say is she represented my sorority well, because she showed up. I'm not even playing. Like, it was like two other ladies in the place with style and grace. I will not knock you off my square. I was just like, girl, you put that smile and gather on so quickly. You never lost the cool. When he was speaking like live, he was just like, and when she would turn around and lean in with the look, like,
yes,
I was like, oh, yeah. I thought she was amazing. I thought she handled herself beautifully. But what I am tired of is like, why are these white women sitting there letting these men talk to them like that? She would never.
Oh my God! Like, you literally are taking the words out of my mouth. They have no respect for their women, first of all. None whatsoever. Like, they never do. And I think that, to go back to kind of what you said about how people, even when you see a strong, powerful Black woman who is knowledgeable, people will still overlook that just because she's a Black woman. So I feel like if this debate did anything tonight, I think that I hope that it convinced a lot of Black people to like give her respect and respect her, like, you know, as a woman. So yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think I think she did well waving the 4-4. That was my request when I came when we had the pregame. No, I think she did well. I think she kind of stood in her truth, like her demeanor and everything. Like, I don't think she was trying to be anybody. Sway anybody. I don't know. You know, what really matters is the people in the middle. You know, I would like to believe it does, or it will, or it did. But it's just so hard to tell just from repeaters. I mean, people just don't want to see Black women win. So it's hard to say. They could know everything that we're saying. They probably do believe everything we're saying right now in this camera. Was this, she was that, and the third. And that still is not enough to give them the conviction to do the right thing at the ballot. So I can't really say. I mean, yeah. But I will say though, for me personally, I couldn't just be. If proud is the word, you know, as simple as it is, that really comes to mind. Like, I think she got the job done tonight. I think she did exactly what she was supposed to do.
I agree, Kelly. I agree. I agree, definitely.
Nia, I can't hear you, love. You're muted.
I can't tell you, baby. I'm always like talking. I just talk. People talk. I will say, I think that we are all kind of drained a little bit. No conversation leading up. You know, we had our dance party. Never mind, prior to, even though they kicked us off of Facebook. Whoa. However, still happening on the stream. So I'm going to be like, I want to give Black women the rest. Never mind, still here. We know how to do our 15-second quick run-through dance party, making it happen. And so, you know, I think we need to just relax and like bask in the fact that this Black woman showed up. This Black woman showed up. You know, as Vice President of the United States.
You can play.
Everyone's showing up.
This is so cool.
Me, I have to go make a drink.
All right, here we go. 15-second dance moves. Here we go. 15-second dance moves. Let's go.
This is really a virtual party. Like. so funny.
I need your best 15-second dance moves right here. Let's go.
All right.
Yeah. Who's hot? Who's not? Tell me who rock? Who shall I?
This is way. This is so funny.
Who do a drop box? Who mostly go shit down top? The same old pimp. Mace, you know he not changed from my lip. Stop, see my name on the blimp. Don't tear me and shells pull up. You don't believe I'm out of work? Double up. We don't play around. It's a bet later. Only 91, but they know me now.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, Spider-Man and Flea. Black. I'm ready. I'm ready, Slick. Are you?
Y'all already know what come now. Come on, y'all.
Girl, I must warn you. I sense something strange in my mind. Yo.
There's some good 15-second dance moves right there. I'm loving it.
You know, my girls are making fun of me.
They don't know. We gotta put y'all up on game. I miss those people.
No, bass, fat, baby, tap in. Tap in. Diamonds dancing on your neck, better tap in. Tap.
Something for my young voters out there. All my young voters. Shout out to all the black queens tonight.
Let me turn off my camera.
Y'all, I'm about to get some rest.
She just said she getting real New Orleans. Real Brooklyn, real New Orleans right here.
Just for a moment.
Good night, guys.
Good night, Dave. It's just me and Yoshida.
I'm tired.
She took the whole thing slow down.
You put in too much work today.
You did a lot of work today. I love you, Sheeta. Thank you for being here. Always shows up.
I love you, but you
have a great night. I've had so much fun with you all.
Where did these niggas be?
Yo, you dope. Night, y'all. Night, Kelly. Night to my girls.
Please don't pay that nigga songs in this party. I can't even listen to that.
Oh. All right, never mind. We're going to do about another minute, and then we're going to fade on swag. Listen, you are so dope. I just want you to know, I'm being the official citizen today.
Don't end up making it back. I know that they
crazy down bad with their hands. They like, damn, baby. Sometimes we laugh, sometimes we cry, but I guess you know.
Baby, I took the half and she took the whole thing. Slow down.
Oh, that was dope. Thank you guys so much for showing up. She showed up. We all showed up. You know, that was kind of incredible to be in celebration of Black women just, you know, being dope. So Black women. Yay. Wait, what the hell does the song go?
I'm not singing it.
I love you. You gonna sing it, Cammy?
Can I sing it?
Yep, go ahead. Cammy, gonna sing our song.
I have a song. Real women.
No, not that song. I thought you said the other song. We are gonna be out. Thank you guys so much for being here, for showing up. Y'all, it's time to show up. October 16th is early voting right here in Louisiana. Organizations like the Power Coalition worked really hard for us to have a more extended early voting time. Show up the 16th or 26th. That is when we can eradicate so many things around, you know, voter suppression. We know what's going to happen, so let's fight through it. If you're not able to show up then, November 3rd is our day. And we've got people that are working to make sure that your vote is protected. But just know, Black women, if we show up in this election cycle, we can completely restructure how us, families, the people that we love, the people that we fight with and for, the way they experience life. And I know that for the Black woman that I know and love, that is paramount and necessary. And for me, it is a reason for existing. So love you all. We'll see you next week on She Shows Up right here on YouTube, Facebook. We won't get kicked off then. YouTube, Facebook, on my channel, 4910 Rosalie Productions. Thank you so much for producing this for us, and being our creative director, production partner. Love you guys so much, and so we will see. What do you want to say, Jenny?
I just want to say, whatever you do, vote. And if you don't want to vote, vote for me. Vote for the future kids that will one day vote, because your vote. Well, I like to think of it this way. I'm gonna keep it really short, but I like to think of it this way. Your vote is like your little own personal mark in history. And I like to think of it as if you don't vote, if you didn't vote, you basically weren't part of it. But when you vote, that's you, and that's your little mark, your little dot in history. With like, I got Obama to be president. I got Obama to be president. I got who I wanted to be president just by my one vote was one vote that could have been extra to get that person to be elected. So I just want to say, vote.
Vote. There we go. Thank you, Style and Taste. Thank you, Justini Cocktails. Thank you, Meet Me at the Bar. Thank you, DJ Nevermind. Thank you, everybody, for being here, for putting this together. And we will see you at the
polls.
There we go. Have a good night.
Good night.